Chapter 481 Birthday Cake. After Lu Qiqi left, she sent everyone away and let the prince be alone. She came to the kitchen and saw that Chen Ma had prepared the food. She sat in the kitchen and started eating. Eating in the kitchen was a bit against the rules. Lu Qiqi felt that she was the crown princess and she liked it. Who dared to say anything? Lu Qiqi ate a lot and asked Chunbai to bring wine. She ate and drank at the same time. When Lu Qiqi returned to the house drunk and saw the prince, who had not figured it out, she walked around him and went into the bedroom. She kicked off her shoes and came to the bed, thinking that she had not taken off her headdress yet. She came to the dressing table barefoot. Just as she was about to start, she suddenly felt warm under her feet, as if it was modern floor heating. "Prince, come here quickly." The prince, who had not responded, thought that something was wrong with Lu Qiqi, and strode over. "What's wrong?" "The floor heating is whirring." The prince glanced at the window, which was covered with a thin mist. "It should be the floor heating that is hot." "Heating?" The prince looked at the woman and nodded. "That's what he meant. Your Majesty has really done a good thing." Lu Qiqi happily walked barefoot on the ground, playing like a child. The prince stared blankly. And at this moment, he also thought about what he had been entangled with. He finally understood what the queen meant by that, and what the woman wanted to express. However, he was unwilling to let the queen go just like that. So he could only temporarily punish the queen and wait for the queen mother to be 100 years later. Some things have been thought about. And the prince was speechless when he saw the woman so happy. "It's just a floor heating. Is there any need to be so happy?" "Bend down and pick up the woman, and go to bed together." Lu Qiqi struggled to get off, but was stopped by the prince. "I'm tired all day. It's time to go to bed." Lu Qiqi also wanted to sleep. She was so happy that she tossed and turned all night and couldn't sleep. Later, while the prince was asleep, she ran to the ground again and stepped on the ground barefoot. She was afraid of making too much noise, so she used her hands and feet lightly. She played on the ground until she was tired, and then went to bed to rest. The moment Lu Qiqi lay down, the prince's mouth curled up a beautiful arc. The floor dragon was on. The room was warm, and Lu Qiqi almost never went out. Occasionally, she went out to the flower room. The temperature of the flower room was because the floor dragon passed through it, so the flowers in the flower room bloomed very well. Every day, it was a straight line between 2 points. And soon the Queen Mother's birthday came. A few days before the Queen Mother's birthday, the whole palace was hung with red lanterns. And there were poems on the lanterns. If you answered correctly, you could take the lantern away. Lu Qiqi felt bored when she heard this. And because the room was too warm, she didn't want to move around. So she waited until the Queen Mother's birthday, got up early, and went to the kitchen to work. The 4 maids were happy to see the crown princess suddenly change her nature. But they were surprised to see the crown princess enter the kitchen and not let anyone get close. Today is the Queen Mother's birthday. Where is the birthday gift prepared by the crown princess? Others are busy preparing for the Queen Mother's birthday gift and can't sleep. What's wrong with the crown princess? At the critical moment, she only thinks about eating? You die. Qing Dai. Zhou Yin and others pushed Chunbai to let her talk to the crown princess. But Chunbai was not in a hurry. She sat quietly at the door, took out a bag of peanuts and ate them. The 3 maids saw that they were anxious, and hurried into the warehouse to choose a decent gift. There are many good things in the prince's storehouse, and any one of them is priceless. But what good things has the Queen Mother not seen in the palace for so many years? What can make the Queen Mother's eyes light up? After looking around the good things, it seems that none of them is special. They thought of the troubles of the crown princess not long ago. Could the crown princess really have an amazing gift? Thinking about it, Yu Dai and the other 2 came to the kitchen from the storehouse. The kitchen smiled and looked at them, but didn't say anything. Yu Dai, Zhou Yin, and Qing Dai all saw contempt in Chunbai's eyes, and saw that the ground was already full of peanut skins. Yu Dai approached. "Are you really not worried? The crown princess has her own plans. What good things can there be in the kitchen? It's all oil, salt, sauce, vinegar and vegetables. Which one can be a birthday gift? If the crown princess says there is, there will be." Yu Dai saw that she couldn't communicate with Chunbai, so she simply gave up. She was going to make her think of other ways. Although it's a bit of a last-minute effort now, it can only be done this way. At this time, Lu Qiqi was still busy in the kitchen, not letting anyone get close. because she was worried that they were not doing well enough. And she had to do everything herself. Just for perfection. The birthday cake could have been made a few days ago to try. But it would not be fresh after doing it. For every step, Lu Qiqi had to confirm again and again. After a while of busyness, while waiting, she went to the kitchen door and saw Chunbai, Qingdai, and Zhou Yan. Asked, "Where is Yudai?" Qingdai hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Yudai went to the imperial kitchen to prepare breakfast for the crown princess. Lu Qiqi just remembered that she hadn't had breakfast yet. Looking at the anxious Wang Ma beside her. "Today's breakfast. You can figure it out by yourselves. No one can come into this kitchen before I come out." "Yes. I obey your command," Madame Huang responded. It was okay to skip a meal. But she was curious about what the crown princess was going to do. She occupied the kitchen. Was she going to make something delicious? Everyone was thinking about this. They didn't feel hungry. When a strange aroma came from the kitchen, they couldn't help drooling. What delicious food did the crown princess make that smelled so good? Everyone was curious, and was stopped by Chunbai, who was sitting at the door of the kitchen. Chunbai stopped them, and looked inside curiously. She only saw the busy figure of the crown princess. As for what she was busy with, she couldn't see clearly. The fragrance came from the kitchen. She didn't know what the crown princess was doing. She always felt that it was not appropriate to send food to the queen mother for her birthday. Lu Qiqi was busy in the kitchen for a long time. When the birthday banquet was about to start, Lu Qiqi came out with a food box. It was very mysterious. No one wanted to touch it. Chunbai and others followed the crown princess. When they smelled the fragrance from the food box, they were drooling. The prince had heard about Lu Qiqi's behavior a long time ago. And he was also curious about what Lu Qiqi gave to the queen mother. She has been in the kitchen, so she should be eating. What smells so good that it can make everyone in the East Palace drool? Even when Lu Qiqi carried the food box all the way to the queen mother Xineng Palace, people on the road were drooling with greed. He put down the memorial in his hand, and went to Xineng Palace quickly. The prince was very fast. Lu Qiqi had just arrived at Xineng Palace with her maid. "What are you holding?" The prince stared at the food box in Lu Qiqi's hand and asked. "Delicious. It's food." The prince was happy that he guessed it right. "What delicious food?" "You'll know later." The prince and Lu Qiqi talked. And the two walked into the yard, and saw that the yard was full of people, all dressed up beautifully. And Lu Qiqi wanted to take a bite. When many young ladies saw the prince coming, some were too timid and shy to take a sneak peek, while others were too bold to not stop staring at him. Their hearts were beating fast, as if they could not get rid of what they had seen. Chapter 482 Make a Wish. "Your Highness, the crown princess is here," as the eunuch sang. Everyone in the room heard it. Lu Qiqi and the crown prince entered the room, and saw a group of people. From their attire, they knew that they were all ladies of some rank. And the people in the yard were all their unmarried daughters. The purpose of coming today was obvious. One was to celebrate the birthday, and the other was to see which young lady could catch the queen mother's eye, come to the palace, and be sent to the crown prince. Everyone present knew that the crown princess was a concubine sent by the queen mother to the crown prince. And now the concubine has become the crown princess at the head of the Eastern Palace. Such good luck. Everyone wants to participate in it. Lu Qiqi didn't care about these people, and gave the birthday gift to the queen mother. Qiqi. The queen mother was so happy to see Lu Qiqi, and the crown prince coming. Grandson greets the royal grandmother, and wishes the royal grandmother a long life and happiness as vast as the East Sea. The crown prince said, "I pay my respects to the Empress Dowager, wishing her a long life, wealth, glory, and good fortune, and a happy birthday, and eternal youth." Lu Qiqi said, "Good, good, good." The Empress Dowager was even happier when she heard this. Others saw the arrival of the crown prince and the crown princess, but they did not give the Empress Dowager a birthday gift, although the crown princess's auspicious words sounded good. What was the use of good words? Unlike them, they all gave the Empress Dowager a birthday gift. Each one was a priceless treasure. These few dry words really came from a small place. They were not good at such a big occasion. The Empress had been in the palace for so many years. How could she not know what these people were thinking? From the moment Lu Qiqi arrived, she saw that Lu Qiqi was holding a food box in her hand, and she thought it was delicious. At the age of the queen mother, she has seen all kinds of good things. If Lu Qiqi makes food by herself, it is also full of heart. The queen smiled and looked at the queen mother. Queen Mother. Look at Chi-Chi. I wonder what gift this is. The gift obviously tells everyone present that if they don't want to cause trouble for their men, they'd better control their mouths. I saw it a long time ago. It smells very fragrant. It should be made by Chi-Chi. Right? Chi-Chi carefully held the food box and came to the Queen Mother and slowly opened it. Today is the Queen Mother's birthday, and cake is indispensable. I made a birthday cake for the Queen Mother. I hope the Queen Mother likes it. As the time opened, everyone saw a stunning scene. A ball of white things, dotted with red flowers. It is hard to tell what it is. It smells very fragrant. And more importantly, there's a kind old lady on it, holding a big peach in her hand. Looking carefully, it is found that the old man is somewhat similar to the Queen Mother. Soon, the Queen Mother and the Queen also found it. Concubine Shu exclaimed, "Oh! How come the old man who sent the birthday present looks a bit like the Empress Dowager?" This exclamation attracted more people's attention. Those who were close could see it at a glance. But those who were a little further away couldn't see it even if it was crossed. And everyone was even more curious. The prince was watching from the side. Needless to say, this was the most special gift for the Empress Dowager's birthday this year. It was made by Chi-Chi herself, which showed her sincerity and preciousness. Chi-Chi took out the candles prepared in the food box and inserted them into the cake, explaining, "Insert the candles, light them, and then you can make a wish. After making a wish, blow out the candles, and your wish may come true. It is possible to achieve." And everyone directly heard it as will achieve. Everyone looked at the Queen Mother with envy. The Queen Mother is old and likes to be lively more and more. However, due to her status, she has few close friends. Now there are fewer grandchildren, and even fewer great-grandchildren. She feels even more lonely. Hearing this, whether it is true or not, she is happy. "Your Majesty is here." At the critical moment, the Emperor arrived. The Emperor. Isn't he sick? Soon, people outside were heard kneeling. "Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor!" The Emperor came to the door with the help of eunuch Lu, and many ladies in the room knelt on the ground to salute. "Long live the Emperor!" Then the concubines such as Shufei saluted. "Long live the Emperor!" The prince and Chi-Chi saluted. "Long live the Emperor!" The Queen saluted. "Long live the Emperor!" The Emperor came to the Queen Mother. "I wish you happiness as vast as the East Sea and longevity as long as the South Mountain." Good. 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 The Queen Mother was happy and said 3 good words in a row. "What is this?" The Emperor looked at the candle-lit thing in front of him and asked. "Chi-Chi made it for my birthday." The Queen Mother was so happy that she forgot the last few words. Chi-Chi explained. "Birthday cake." "Oh," the Emperor thought. "This is the thing that everyone in the palace would drool after smelling it. It looks really good. The old man holding the birthday peach on it looks even more vivid." Chi-Chi said that we can make a wish later. "There is this thing?" the Emperor said and looked at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi responded. "After the candles are lit, the birthday star puts his hands together and makes a wish in his heart, which may come true." The Queen Mother and the Emperor believed this and quickly ordered people to light the candles. As the candles were lit, just like the hope in her heart was lit, the Queen Mother made a wish in a serious manner. After the Queen Mother made a wish, she blew towards the candles. Everyone looked at her with envy. And even the Emperor was a little jealous. Why didn't he have such treatment? Thinking about it, he looked at the prince with dissatisfaction. The prince had known the purpose of this person's visit for a long time, and deliberately turned his head to look at one side without responding. The Queen saw their interaction from the side, and thought it was funny, and jealous. The Emperor and the King of Chu never had such eye contact. Sure enough, a long time ago, the Emperor liked the prince the most. But there were too many princes at that time, and the Emperor did not have a blatant preference. After the Queen Mother blew out the candles, her face was full of wrinkles with joy. Chi-Chi knew there should be a birthday song, so she skipped it to avoid arousing suspicion. Now it was time to enjoy. She reached out and pulled out the candle while explaining. "Now we can share the cake." Chi-Chi took down the candle and put it aside, then took out the dough knife, small plate, and spoon from the food box. "What is this?" The Queen Mother looked at the dough knife, a little puzzled. "This is made of dough, specially used to cut the cake." She knew that it was forbidden to carry knives in the palace, so in order not to arouse suspicion from others, she made it with dough. Chi-Chi is thoughtful. The birthday gift for the royal grandmother is naturally the best, Lu Chi-Chi said with a smile. Look! Look! This is the good granddaughter-in-law that I chose. The queen mother was happy. Everyone followed suit and carried Lu Chi-Chi to the sky for a while. Lu Chi-Chi blushed slightly and handed the dough knife to the queen mother. Grandmother, the birthday person should make the first cut of the cake, which means everything will start well. There is such a saying. The queen mother likes to hear auspicious words. And she is even happier to hear it today. Yes. Lu Chi-Chi nodded. When the queen mother heard that there were so many sayings, she wanted to do it, but was worried that she would not do it well enough. Lu Chi-Chi saw what the queen mother was thinking and said, cut from the beginning to the end. It will go smoothly. And cut from left to right. It will be healthy and long-lived. Chapter 483. The ancestors are smoking. The queen mother took the knife and raised it up and down. After one cut, Lu Chi-Chi followed and said, one cut from the beginning to the end. The royal grandmother will be smooth and prosperous. The queen mother cut another horizontal cut. Lu Chi-Chi said, two cuts from left to right. The royal grandmother will be healthy and long-lived. Ha. The queen mother laughed while holding the knife. The prince watched for a long time and asked, when can I eat it? You only know how to eat, the queen mother said, and looked at Lu Chi-Chi again. Lu Chi-Chi explained, cut it into small pieces. The cake is delicious. And good luck is coming. The prince was amused by Lu Chi-Chi's auspicious words. One set of sets. Who doesn't like to hear it? The queen mother was happy. The emperor was also happy. The queen had been holding a high position, and also wanted to taste the taste of the cake. At the queen mother's signal, Lu Chi-Chi took over the next thing. She first cut the cake into small pieces, put them on a plate, and then sent them to the queen mother, the emperor, the queen, and the crown prince. When they ate it, it was as delicious as it smelled. The people around looked at it eagerly, wanting to eat it, but not daring to say it. Lu Chi-Chi noticed everyone's thoughts. She cut the fifth piece of cake and put it on the plate. Others thought that the cake would be eaten by the crown princess herself. But she sent it to the concubine Shu. Concubine Shu couldn't believe it. Looking at the cake in front of her, she asked in a trembling voice, is this for me? Yes. Lu Chi-Chi smiled slightly. Concubine Shu hurriedly took it, and was worried that someone would snatch it away. After getting it, she quickly took a bite, and her eyes were red with happiness. She met the crown princess's eyes, and quickly swallowed the cake in her mouth. Delicious. So delicious. The queen mother saw that everyone was looking at it eagerly. There was only so much cake, so she wanted to keep it all. She thought that since it was made by Lu Chi-Chi, she should be able to make more. So she generously asked Luo Ma to share it with everyone. Later, all the ladies in the room got such a small bite. Everyone ate it and thought, there is such a delicious thing. They have never tasted it before. Then she thought that it was made by the crown princess. And it took a lot of effort. Today, it is because of the queen mother that they have such a good fortune. Everyone seemed to understand why Lu Chi-Chi, who was not born in a high family, could be liked by the crown prince. The people in the room took a bite, but it was not enough to satisfy their cravings. The people outside could only hear others say that it was delicious. But they didn't eat it, so they were all smacking their lips outside. Some young ladies in the boudoir had little experience, and because they didn't eat it, they all gossiped sourly. No wonder the prince was bewitched by her. It turns out it was because of this. I heard that the princess loves to eat. It's true that it's all the essence of eating. So what? I heard that the princess of Wu will also come today. Do you think that the princess of Wu may live in the East Palace this time? Hearing this, everyone was excited. Some people didn't dare to say it, thinking that the princess of Wu's arrival was really timely. Today, she came to marry the queen mother on her birthday. When the princess of Wu moved into the East Palace, someone would share the favor with the princess, and then they would have a chance. Thinking of this, everyone had a smile on their face. The excitement of the Sinang Palace soon spread throughout the palace. Taiyu Palace? This year, the Queen Mother's birthday welcomed 3 newcomers. This year's top 3 are Ma Xingyuan, Yin Mingxiu, and Hao Ziyu. Through this period of understanding, they all knew that Ma Xingyuan was from Yangzhou, but others did not know. This also brought a sense of mystery, because Yangzhou was a well-known big shot. They all knew about it, and thought that Ma Xingyuan's status would not be too high. Some people thought that Ma Xingyuan was the child of the concubine, but no one knew it. because the children of the concubine could not participate in the imperial examination. This idea was abandoned. Everyone has long known the identity of Yi Mingxiu. The second place. Born in a peasant family. These cautious ways of dealing with people show that this person can pass the exam. And his ancestors are lucky. He appeared in this occasion today, which was obviously out of place. However, many ministers were born as farmers. After decades of hard work, they can also have the current glory. For this reason, no one cares about Yi Mingxiu, and no one will deliberately embarrass him. Gradually, he has reached a situation of one person. The most popular person is Hao Ziyu. The great fortress owner of Feiqian Fort is very powerful. Everyone couldn't understand why the master of Feiqian Fort would participate in the imperial examination and become a Jingzhaoyin in Jingzhou Prefecture. It seems that since his family has a mine, who would care about such a small salary? For this reason, Hao Ziyu became the focus of everyone's attention. Those with slightly lower ranks tried to get closer by imparting experience, and those with higher ranks showed their optimism. Gradually, Hao Ziyu became the focus of everyone's attention. He walked among the crowd and talked and laughed. Ma Xingyuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Yi Mingxiu, who was alone, he took the initiative to come over. Master Yin, Master Ma, Yi Mingxiu said. They used to call each other brothers, but gradually changed their names. I heard today that Princess Hongyu of Wu will also come. Ma Xingyuan took the initiative to open the topic. I've heard about it. What do you think about the marriage with Wu? Yi Mingxiu was happy to see that he finally had a chance to show his talents. But because he had been in the Dali Temple for a while, he was a little cautious. The marriage has been delayed for so long. It's hard to say. Princess Hongyu will also come today to celebrate the Queen Mother's birthday. And it may be decided today. Yi Mingxiu nodded. It's possible. As he said that, he saw Hao Ziyu surrounded by the crowd and asked, why do you think the master of Feiqian Fortress entered the court? Or in the form of imperial examinations? Ma Xingyuan said, I heard that the higher-ups asked him to talk, and he took the initiative to ask to go to Jingzhou Prefecture. Yi Mingxiu sneered. Maybe he was bored. Ma Xingyuan judged from his expression that this person was not big-minded, would not go far, and had no intention of continuing to have a close relationship. At this time, someone was talking about the crown princess giving the queen mother a special birthday gift, saying it was a birthday cake. Ma Xingyuan's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he smiled. Yi Mingxiu was jealous when he saw this, and asked tentatively, I heard that Lord Ma once saved the maidservant beside the crown princess. It was just a piece of cake. You make it sound so easy. Tell me, what happened at that time that allowed Lord Ma to have such a good thing? Ma Xingyuan explained casually. When I was burning incense and praying, I saw a little maidservant who had fainted. So I went forward to wake her up. Is it that simple? Ma Xingyuan smiled. What else? Lord Ma is so lucky. Ma Xingyuan. Yi Mingxiu was about to say something when a group of people came over from a distance. Seeing that they were dressed like the Wu people, he turned his head and approached Ma Xingyuan and asked, who do you think the consort will be? Ma Xingyuan took a look and said, there is no consort. The princess of Wu is here to marry a foreign prince. How can there be no consort? How can there be a consort for a foreign prince? Yi Mingxiu felt that he was looked down upon by Ma Xingyuan. But he also felt that what he said was right. He was annoyed and looked at the princess of Wu who was coming over. He was immediately attracted by her beauty. He stared at her intently, worried that he would miss a glimpse. Chapter 484. They are not as pretty as you. Hao Ziyu finally got away when the princess of Wu arrived. Seeing Ma Xingyuan in the corner, he strode over. Hao Ziyu admired Ma Xingyuan's writing style and liked his way of dealing with people. He came over and clasped his fist towards Ma Xingyuan. Brother Ma. Master Hao. Don't say that. Ma Xingyuan returned the greeting. The two smiled at each other. Master Ma. Master Hao. Yi Mingxiu saw the two of them being sour and interrupted. Princess Wu is so beautiful. I wonder who has such good luck. Ma Xingyuan and Hao Ziyu didn't respond. They were not sensitive to the princess of Wu. Is the man standing next to the princess of Wu General Beidou? Yi Mingxiu asked. Ma Xingyuan nodded. Yeah. General Beidou is so strange. The princess has been sent here. Why doesn't this man leave? Ma Xingyuan and Hao Ziyu didn't respond to such brainless words. The two turned their heads to talk about other things, directly blocking this question. Yi Mingxiu didn't feel that he was ignored. He stared at Princess Wu with his eyes, almost rushing over. Because of the arrival of Princess Wu, everyone changed their circle again and continued with the excitement. Not long after, the ladies and young ladies who went to the Sinang Palace arrived one by one. Tell them about the birthday cake. Everyone heard but didn't see it, and didn't know what this birthday cake was. Some people said it was delicious. Some people said it was fragrant. And some people said it was soft. There were all kinds of opinions, and everyone began to fantasize in their minds. Princess Wu was not familiar with the state of Qin, and she was curious when she heard about this. She also wanted to see what this birthday cake that could make wishes and could be eaten looked like. The matter involved the crown princess. And thinking of the crown prince's protective nature, everyone picked out nice things to say about you. The eunuch's singing voice came. The emperor has arrived. The queen mother has arrived. The queen has arrived. As the emperor and others arrived, everyone knelt down and saluted. When everyone stood up, they found that the crown prince and the crown princess had also arrived. Everyone saluted again. Lu Qiqi stood next to the crown prince and could clearly see everyone's actions and eyes. Under the seemingly calm eyes, how many people have a purposeful heart? As she was looking, her eyes unexpectedly saw a pure look. It was the Princess of Wu. Thinking of this person's future relationship with Ma Xingyuan, Lu Qiqi gave her a friendly smile. The Princess of Wu saluted Lu Qiqi slightly. The interaction between the two changed in the eyes of others. The Princess of Wu and the Crown Princess reached a certain tacit understanding, which was also what the noble ladies in the capital were most willing to see. As long as the Princess of Wu enters the East Palace, they will have a chance to get close to the prince. Thinking of this, the eyes looking at the prince began to become hot. If I am lucky today, it will be a good thing to enter the East Palace with the Princess of Wu. Everyone walked with all their strength, wanting to attract the attention of the prince. But unfortunately, the prince only had Lu Qiqi in his eyes. No one else. The dancers on the stage were dancing hard, but they could not arouse the interest of the prince. Lu Qiqi appreciated the dance generously. Seeing their slender waists, Lu Qiqi was very envious. I have eaten a lot recently, and my waist has become fatter. If I lose more than 10 pounds, I can also go on stage to dance. Thinking of it, I feel envious. Don't look at them. They are not as good looking as you. Lu Qiqi put one hand on her belly. I'm fat. It's better to be fatter. Those people look so ugly because they are hungry and cold. The prince said with disdain. You don't know how to appreciate it. As the saying goes, 1 minute on stage takes 10 years of hard work off stage. In my opinion, they have been exercising since childhood, so their bodies can be so tough. You know a lot. I practiced too, but I didn't stick to it. Otherwise, I could dance so well. Prince, practice? County Magistrate Lu is so poor that he actually plans to let his daughter become a dancer. Thinking of this, the prince wondered if Qiqi had a bad childhood. I didn't practice for a long time. I gave up because I had to study. Lu Qiqi didn't think there was anything wrong with this, but the prince was relieved. Fortunately, he didn't insist. If he did, he might not see the woman. Lu Qiqi was still appreciating the dance, and suddenly saw someone who shouldn't be there. He put on heavy makeup, wore a skirt, and painted his lips red like a woman. But he didn't have breasts like a woman. He turned his head and asked the prince, Are there male dancers in the palace? Huh? Look at the fourth dancer in the middle. He is a man. The prince looked over and found something wrong. He pretended to be relaxed and said to Lu Qiqi, Maybe there are not enough people for this dance. So one person went up to make up the number. Lu Qiqi didn't doubt this statement and continued to watch others dance. The song ended quickly, and the next person to come on stage was a woman holding a pipa. Lu Qiqi pricked up her ears to listen, but she didn't notice the prince's eyes next to the prince. And she didn't notice a person wearing eunuch clothes leaving. The palace maids and eunuchs were waiting around, and the eunuch's movements would not arouse others' suspicion. After the pipa piece ended, everyone was talking about how well it was played. When everyone said it was good, a harsh voice appeared. It was not loud, but Lu Qiqi still heard it. What's good about it? It's not even a finger of Sister Xian. Shh. Keep your voice down. This is the palace. What's wrong with the palace? If it weren't for the support of the general of the cavalry, she wouldn't even have the chance to come to the palace. Okay. Stop talking. Why don't you say it? Then He Qianqian is a bitch. As soon as she finished speaking, the lady next to her blocked her mouth with a piece of cake. Lu Qiqi wanted the general of the cavalry. Once, She met the general of the cavalry with the prince. The general of the cavalry was a man of honor, and the brother of the princess of Chu. It has been a long time since I heard any news about the princess of Chu. Suddenly, I heard it. She looked around. Today is the queen mother's birthday. Why is the princess of Chu not here? The system voice came. Since the death of the king of Chu, the princess of Chu has never participated in any activities in the palace. And she has not been seen, even in the circle of noble ladies in the capital. Lu Qiqi sighed in her heart. How is her life? System. It's very good. Lu Qiqi. Ah? I think it's the other way around. System. Without a man around, she lives a comfortable life. She is busy with the business of the shop every day. The children are obedient. She lives a very good life. Lu Qiqi thought about the character of the king of Chu. His death was a relief for the princess of Chu. Thinking of the woman who played the pipa just now. Is that woman really related to the general of the cavalry? System. The woman is called He Qianqian. And she is the cousin of the general of the cavalry. Lu Qiqi. Where is the sister Xian mentioned? System. Wei Mixuan. Daughter of the grand tutor. Lu Qiqi. Wei Mixuan is very good at playing buttocks. System. One of the best in Beijing. Lu Qiqi thought about what happened when Wei Mixuan entered the palace and was interrupted by a piece of piano music. The rhythm of the piano music was very fast, just like fighting on the battlefield. Lu Qiqi looked over and saw a woman playing the guzheng with a veil. Who is this? System. Zhang Yuan, the legitimate daughter of Zhang Xingde, the third-rank military minister. Lu Qiqi. I can't see her face clearly, but she has a good temperament. System. She is beautiful and kind. But unfortunately, there is a black birthmark the size of a fingernail at the corner of her mouth. When she was a child, she was ignorant and went out on the street to scare a child unconscious. Later, she was regarded as an evil star. Since then, she has worn a veil all day and has never revealed her true face in front of others. When Lu Qiqi heard the sound of the piano, she felt as if a myriad of emotions were surging in her heart. Thinking of her past, it was indeed unfair. She was only able to vent while playing the piano because she had been holding it in for too long. Is there no way? System. Minister Zhang has thought of many ways, but none of them worked. He has given up now. Lu Qiqi knew very well how important a person's appearance was to a woman, and asked hurriedly, is there really no way? System. Yes. Lu Qiqi. What is the way? System. Your blood. Lu Qiqi thought of the 3 bowls of blood given to Prime Minister Chu, and asked, what does it mean? System. Your blood has the miraculous effect of detoxifying thousands of poisons. Lu Qiqi. Since it is a birthmark, what does it have to do with my blood being able to detoxify? Unless there is only one possibility. System. It is what you think. Lu Qiqi. How did she get poisoned? System. There is no clean backyard. Occupying the status of a legitimate daughter is blocking the way for others. Lu Qiqi. Poor thing. System. You don't want to help her, do you? Lu Qiqi. Do you think I'm stupid? Chapter 485. Arranged Marriage. Qiqi. The prince saw the woman staring at another woman in a daze. If she were a man, she would definitely be misunderstood. What's wrong? Lu Qiqi came back to her senses and looked at the prince. You've been looking at me for a long time. You're talking about Miss Zhang. Do you know? The prince asked. Zhang Yuan, the daughter of Zhang Shirlang of the Ministry of War, plays the guzheng very well. But from the sound of the guzheng, it seems that there are thousands of troops living in her heart. The prince smiled. She knows a lot. I always know a lot about beautiful things. The prince smiled. You keep waiting. As he said that, he peeled the orange and put a slice into the woman's mouth. Lu Qiqi ate it. It's a bit sour. Really? The prince ate one and immediately felt that he was deceived by the woman. He was like a cat that saw the woman stealing fish. He really couldn't do anything. The emperor, who was sitting on the throne, saw this scene and looked at the queen mother next to him. When their eyes met, they both smiled. The queen looked at it and thought that the prince should remember what he said that day. It would be difficult for him to escape from today's situation. She began to worry about Lu Qiqi, thinking that the palace was like this. How could it be changed? The dance music was one after another, making people intoxicated. Lu Qiqi was really dazzled by what she saw later, and soon she felt a little tired of hearing. She also found a problem. Everyone was playing the piano and dancing, but no one was singing. Feeling strange, Lu Qiqi wanted to know what the prince said. But she didn't know when she left. She looked at Yu Dai behind her. Yu Dai hurried forward. Crown Princess. Why are they all playing the piano and dancing? But no one is singing. When Yu Dai heard this, she looked around cautiously and made sure no one heard it before she said, Crown Princess, this is a taboo in the palace. Lu Qiqi. What do you mean? Yu Dai knew that now was not the time to talk about this matter. So she could only lower her voice and say, it's about concubine wrong. Lu Qiqi understood and nodded. Seeing that the crown princess didn't say anything else, Yu Dai cautiously stepped back. Seeing that the crown princess didn't do anything out of line, she breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Qiqi didn't know that concubine wrong had such a secret. Looking at the people present, it's also good to listen to music and drink, not being disturbed, and still having auditory enjoyment. As for concubine wrong, it seems that there are many secrets. She only knows that the prince's biological mother is concubine wrong, who died when the prince was very young, and doesn't know much else. Looking at the situation today, concubine wrong should be a taboo in the hearts of many people. Just when she wanted to summon the system to know the general idea, she saw the prince coming, and Lu Qiqi gave up the idea. After the prince sat down, Lu Qiqi asked, where did you go? I went to the toilet. Lu Qiqi curled her lips. You don't need to say that? You asked. How dare I not tell you? The prince acted like a henpecked husband. Lu Qiqi picked up a piece of cake and stuffed it into the prince's mouth. The prince ate it quickly and licked his face to eat the second piece. While the prince was eating, he thought that if she hadn't reminded him, he wouldn't have noticed that under his strict control, someone from Huagu had sneaked in again. The identity of the person from Huagu arrested this time is not simple. It can be basically concluded that this person has a certain status in Huagu. At present, he is the big man closest to the core of Huagu. Lu Qiqi ate, drank, and listened to music. It felt great. The people who performed dances and music on the stage gradually became the daughters of various ministers. The noble ladies in the capital were all talented and artistic, and they could show off in any aspect, except for the way they looked at the prince from time to time. They were more popular. After the banquet started, many people came forward to congratulate the Queen Mother. Lu Qiqi followed the prince to toast the Queen Mother. After a round of toasts, the Queen Mother's smile never stopped. When Princess Wu came forward to toast, the lively atmosphere suddenly became much quieter. Lu Qiqi was a little drunk. When she saw Princess Wu toasting, she stared at her with her eyes. The prince didn't care when he saw it, picked up the wine glass and drank slowly. Lu Qiqi nervously grabbed the prince's sleeve. The prince smiled and waited quietly for good things to happen, and also hoped to see the expressions of everyone. After Princess Hongyu toasted, General Beta came forward. Your Majesty, our Princess Hongyu has been in Qin for several months. I wonder what your Majesty's plan is. This was said bluntly, and the faces of many ministers present changed a little. The emperor laughed. General Baidu stayed in Qin for several months. Just for this? The emperor was not a pushover. General Baidu put pressure on many court officials, and the emperor blocked his words with one sentence. The princess, who was sent to marry, should leave after the person arrived. Staying in the capital all the time has obvious purposes. I sent the most noble princess of my Wu country to marry, and I should not leave until I see the princess married. The prince held a wine glass and sneered first. General Baidu is really loyal. The emperor of Wu died, and you did not rush back. And the new emperor of Wu did not rush back either. You walked through the streets and alleys of my Qin capital, just for the marriage of the most noble princess, Hongyu of Wu? This statement directly pointed out that General Baidu's stay in Qin state had ulterior motives. With the prince's words, everyone came forward to make suggestions. General Baidu was a military general. Facing so many mouths, he was speechless for a while, and stood there awkwardly. Later, when he saw this year's top 3, he thought he had met a soft persimmon. Ma Shuangyuan. What are you laughing at? Ma Shuangyuan did not laugh. He called General Baidu's name, and he was calm and fearless. What does General Baidu mean? General Baidu's face turned redder when he was asked back. Lu Qiqi couldn't help laughing when she saw it. General Baidu was even more angry, and looked over at the laughter. The prince laughed out loud, and his face became even uglier. The prince looked at General Baidu. General Baidu wants to know who Princess Hongyu is going to marry? Is this easy to do? General Baidu's face looked a little better. He has always been interested in the prince. Being close to the prince means being close to the emperor, which is more beneficial to their plan. What do you think? Prince? It depends on what Princess Hongyu thinks, the prince said, looking at Princess Hongyu. Princess Hongyu immediately became the focus of everyone. Being asked so suddenly, she was a little confused, and soon lowered her head, not daring to say a word. The emperor spoke. Today is the Queen Mother's birthday. It is a family matter, a state matter, and a marriage is also a state matter. Everyone fell silent after the emperor spoke. General Beta finally got back some of his face that had just been exploited. As long as Princess Hongyu entered the East Palace, their plan could be implemented smoothly. In the future, if you place your own spies around the prince, everything will be possible, the emperor said. Princess Hongyu is the noble princess of Wu. We are all good men in Qin. Many men present today are good men in Qin, and most of them have wives. If Princess Hongyu is allowed to be inferior to others, it will obviously be a bit neglectful. If you ask someone to divorce his wife and remarry, it may be suspected of favoring a concubine and destroying his wife. It is better to. Lu Qiqi knew the result in advance. Seeing the emperor who had been ill for a long time, she was able to show her majesty as an emperor and look at everyone present like an elder. The result was exactly as the system expected. And Princess Hongyu was betrothed to the new champion. Lu Qiqi saw everyone's expressions. Some were disappointed. Some were jealous. But the parties involved were all confused. Many court officials congratulated Ma Xingyuan. Princess Hongyu was confused at first, but soon bowed her head. General Beidu was completely angry. The emperor's words were golden and jade. There was no reason to change them. Thinking of what the emperor said just now, it was obviously for this. The prince saw that he had the result he wanted, and signaled his people to congratulate General Beidu. Soon a group of people walked towards General Beidu. Chapter 486 Original Soy Milk. Lu Qiqi returned to the East Palace, thinking about what happened at the palace banquet, and smiled foolishly. Prince, what are you laughing at? Today is the Queen Mother's birthday banquet. You have done a lot of things. When the prince thought that Princess Hongyu's marriage partner was Ma Xingyuan, the woman was not surprised at all. Do you know something? Know what? Lu Qiqi asked back. Princess Hongyu's marriage partner is the top scholar. You don't seem to be surprised? As long as she doesn't enter the East Palace, it doesn't matter to me who marries. Lu Qiqi wondered if the prince knew something, thinking that the time travel would not be told casually. The prince should not know about it. So she was relieved. Really? The world of emotions cannot accommodate 3 people. After Lu Qiqi said this, she went to the dressing table to take off her jewelry one by one in advance. The prince saw it and went over to help. The two were silent for a while, each thinking about their own things. When Lu Qiqi took off all the jewelry, Zhao Kai suddenly arrived. The prince asked Lu Qiqi to rest first, and he went out for a while. The prince left this time and did not come back for a night. But Lu Qiqi slept very well that night. The next day, Lu Qiqi woke up and lay on the bed for a long time and did not want to get up. It was not until very late that Chunbai was worried about the crown princess. She came in from outside and saw the crown princess, who had been awake for an unknown period of time. She asked with concern, "Crown princess, what's wrong with you?" "I don't want to get up." Chunbai was stunned by this explanation for a moment, and quickly reacted. "Do you need me to leave?" "It's better." Chunbai bowed to the crown princess and left, and soon came back with toiletries, pretending to be nothing. "Crown princess, you're awake." Lu Qiqi was speechless. "You don't have to be so fake. I'll help the crown princess dress." Chunbai approached the crown princess and said, "I heard that General Beidu will leave soon. Don't you want to go and see him?" "So soon?" Lu Qiqi was surprised, thinking of what happened last night. She believed that General Beidu's departure would be very lively. She also thought of the emperor's matchmaking for the top scholar and the princess of Wu yesterday. Such a great thing. The people outside the palace don't know the twists and turns, and they will definitely discuss it today. Lu Qiqi wanted to know what the princess of Wu would look like when General Beidu left. See the true face of the scumbag and treat Ma Xingyuan sincerely? She was Ma Xingyuan Sr., and later they worked hard together in the business world. Now they have traveled to this place at the same time, so she has a deeper feeling for Ma Xingyuan. His happiness is what Lu Qiqi cares about most. Lu Qiqi is a man of action. She does what she thinks. She didn't even have time to eat breakfast and left the East Palace with 4 maids. On the way, I was looking for information. I saw a place selling fried dough sticks and soy milk. Past memories filled my mind. Lu Chichi and 4 maids sat on the roadside to eat breakfast. Yesterday, the crown princess appeared at the banquet. Lu Chichi was worried that being recognized would cause trouble. She turned her back to the street, and the 4 maids sat beside her. Lu Chichi didn't have as many concerns as them. It was just a status. If you don't take it seriously, it's really not a big deal. While eating fried dough sticks happily, Yu Dai suddenly said, "Prime Minister Chu." "Huh?" Lu Chichi turned her head while eating fried dough sticks. Sure enough, she saw Prime Minister Chu and Hao Zi walking on the street together, and the funny prince who was beside them. Is he still there? I didn't see him at the banquet yesterday, and thought he left. But he's still there? Why didn't he come yesterday? What about Prime Minister Chu? I didn't see him yesterday either. Lu Chichi thought of one thing. That Wu Shixi seemed to be getting married. If Wu Shixi went to the Queen Mother's birthday banquet, would he be the object of an arranged marriage? Thinking of this, Lu Chichi saw Prime Minister Chu and the other 2 coming, and quickly swallowed the fried dough sticks in her mouth, and took a sip of soy milk to clean her throat, and took the initiative to greet Prime Minister Chu before he arrived. What a coincidence, she said to Prime Minister Chu, and smiled at Hao Ziyu and Wu Shixi. What are you doing? Prince Chu said. I smelled the aroma of fried dough sticks from a distance, so I came to taste it. Tai. Prince Wu was about to say Crown Princess, but Hao Ziyu suddenly raised his hand and hit his stomach, so he had to suppress the words on his lips. You like this too? Prince Chu asked. Standard breakfast. Prime Minister also likes this? Prince Chu did not speak, sitting next to him, which was enough to show his preference. After Prime Minister Chu sat down, the boss directly brought soy milk and fried dough sticks. Lu Chichi felt that what she said just now was a bit redundant. Prince Chu dipped the fried dough sticks in the soy milk. You can try the salty soy milk. Lu Chichi looked at Prime Minister Chu's bowl. Is your soy milk salty? Yeah. Salty tastes good? Lu Chichi ate the original flavor. She also had sweet soy milk. Sweet soy milk tasted good, but she always felt that sweet soy milk covered up the characteristics of soy milk. She preferred to drink the original flavor soy milk. It's okay. Forget it. I'll drink the original flavor. Lu Chichi agreed with Prime Minister Chu, but she would not easily change her preferences. Prince Wu gulped down a bowl of soy milk, waved to the boss, and said to Lu Chichi, You have the same taste as Lord Hao. Lu Chichi looked at Hao Ziyu. Lord Hao also likes the original flavor. The original flavor is more authentic. Lu Chichi smiled. Let me tell you, the original flavor is still better. You should try it. Lord Xiang. Prince Wu wanted to say it was impossible, but the boss just brought another bowl of soy milk, interrupting what he was about to say. And Prime Minister Chu said, Give me a bowl of the original flavor. The boss heard this, without any extra expression, and quickly brought another bowl. Prince Chu took a sip. The taste is a little different. Lu Chichi looked at Prime Minister Chu, and the words that were about to come to her lips were seduced by the way he ate. I always think he is too beautiful. Too beautiful to look directly at. She stared at him for a long time, and was stepped on by Chunbai before she reacted. Then, Lu Chichi laughed. I always feel that Prime Minister Chu has a kind of immortal feeling, and I was really confused just now. Chunbai suddenly opened her eyes wide when she heard it. Crown Princess. Is this what to say? Yudai, Chidai, and Zhouyan heard this. On the one hand, they wanted to cover everyone's ears, and on the other hand, they wanted to drag the Crown Princess away immediately. They wanted to do it but didn't dare to, and they were all hesitant in their hearts. Hao Ziyu and Wu Shixi didn't expect Lu Chichi to say this, and they didn't know how to react for a while. Prime Minister Chu didn't feel surprised, and looked at Lu Chichi. Really? Fortunately, my maid kicked me, so I didn't lose my composure too much. Lu Chichi pointed it out directly, and Chunbai blushed instantly. Lu Chichi said again, Thanks to a smart maid around me. Otherwise I don't know how many inappropriate things I would do. This obviously told everyone that Lu Chichi often loses her composure, and this time is not special. Hao Ziyu watched from the side. This sensitive woman was different from the one who only knew how to eat and drink last night. In comparison, he liked her more in Faking Castle. If possible, he would give up everything and let them go back to the past. Even if it was not for a long time, it was better than having them before. Every time he woke up at midnight, He would always dream about the time in Faking Castle. The days during that time were so beautiful that they became an unforgettable memory for him, which is why they appear in his dreams every time. Chapter 487. There is danger. Yu Dai couldn't bear it any longer, and whispered to the Crown Princess. Crown Princess, it's getting late. Lu Qiqi looked annoyed. Look at my brain. I forgot the business when I saw an acquaintance. So, Lord Xiang, Lord Hao, Prince Wu, I will treat you another day. I have something important to do today, so I'll leave first. After saying that, without giving people a chance to react, she quickly stood up and went to the boss to settle the meal for Prime Minister Chu and others. Lu Qiqi moved too fast, paid the bill, waved her hand and left. After Lu Qiqi walked away, she patted her chest. Look at my mouth. Sometimes I can't control my words. I have to cover my mouth with a handkerchief when I go out in the future. Madam, you shouldn't have done that. You always talk nonsense when you see Prime Minister Chu. Chun Bai was still afraid. If the Crown Princess spoke to Prime Minister Chu like that, it would be bad for the Crown Princess if this matter got out. So, I paid the money when I paid the bill. Lu Qiqi didn't care. Yu Dai was also enlightened. She didn't think this was the Crown Princess's original intention. At most it was a lie to fool Chun Bai. Chun Bai really believed it. And Yu Dai and others didn't dare to say anything. When the 5 of them arrived at the tea house. The tea house was near the window, and it was also the only way out of the city. Lu Qiqi found a good position and looked straight at the pedestrians outside. Sure enough, the people in the capital didn't care about the stay of General Beidou. They only knew that the marriage between Wu and Chen was going to be another good story this year. Yu Dai looked outside, came to the Crown Princess, and whispered, Crown Princess, there are a lot of people outside. Lu Qiqi understood the meaning of this, and looked outside. They were all a group of people walking. No different. But, since Yu Dai spoke, it was obvious that there was something wrong with the people outside. Is there any danger? I don't know for now, Yu Dai said cautiously. Too many people gathering here may not be a good thing. Thinking that with the 4 maids in the open, and Sun Chao and others in the dark, it should be more than enough to protect the prince. Lu Qiqi stared outside. Let's take a look first. Yes. Where are Sun Chao and others? She didn't feel it and asked Yu Dai, whom she trusted. Nearby. That's good. With so many of you here, I won't be in danger. And I won't implicate you for Chun Bai. Yu Dai and others realized that the Crown Princess was not worried about her own safety, but worried that the 4 of them would be implicated. Everyone was moved to tears. While a few were moved, Yu Dai heard a strange noise and hurried to the Crown Princess. Crown Princess, let's go quickly. What's wrong? There is danger. After hearing this, Lu Qiqi stopped staying and left under the protection of Yu Dai, Qing Dai, Zhou Yin and Chun Bai. She came out to watch the show today, but she became a character in the show instead. She was wondering who would attack her while General Beidou was away. Lu Qiqi followed the 4 maids to the entrance of the tea house. Just as she was about to leave, Yu Dai blocked her way and said, Take the Crown Princess away first. Let's go together. Lu Qiqi didn't know why the sudden danger came. It was obviously not good. She knew what Yu Dai would face if they were targeting her. Go! Yu Dai's voice changed. Let's go together. Lu Qiqi gritted her teeth. After 2 sentences, Lu Qiqi also found out why it was wrong. It was because the people who were originally going to pass by changed their eyes one by one, revealing reflective weapons in their sleeves. Seeing the danger, Lu Qiqi suddenly pushed Chun Bai. Go get help. Crown Princess. I won't leave. Chun Bai was anxious. Lu Qiqi grabbed Chun Bai's hand and said word by word. Today's matter is not simple. You go to the Crown Prince immediately. No matter what. You must explain the situation here clearly. The person who came was directed at her. He could make Yu Dai change her face. Obviously, he was not simple. If she guessed correctly, Sun Chao and others who were protecting in the dark might have been leaked. They are likely to face greater danger if the other party is fully prepared. Today is extremely dangerous. Chun Bai has no martial arts, so she can only be cannon fodder if she stays. If she is driven away, she still has a chance of survival. Chun Bai shook her head. Crown Princess, what about you? As long as you are fast enough, I will be fine. When there is danger everywhere, one person is counted as one. Chun Bai realized something was wrong and grabbed the crown princess's hand. "Take care of yourself." Lu Qiqi nodded. Chunbai let go and walked towards the tea house. She knew that every tea house had a back door, and leaving from there would be safer and faster. Lu Qiqi breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Chunbai leave. Facing a safe situation, she didn't dare to be careless. Yu Dai, Qing Dai, and Zhou Yin all knew what the crown princess meant, and they also agreed. It was a bit difficult to protect the crown princess. Not only would Chunbai be a drag if she stayed, she might also be the first to be killed. With Chunbai gone, they put all their thoughts on the crown princess. Yu Dai reminded from the side. "Madam, Sun Chao didn't show up. He must have been tripped." Lu Qiqi understood the danger of the current situation, and hoped that Chunbai could escape smoothly, and that the crown prince could come as soon as possible. Everything was decided by her on the spur of the moment. She regretted falling into such danger. She also thought that since they were targeting her, they would take action sooner or later. Hiding was not a solution. Seeing these people disguised as civilians in front of her, a rage rose in her eyes. She wanted to kill all these people, regardless of whether they were acting on orders or not. They deserved to die just for killing her. Suddenly, the approaching civilians surrounded them. Yu Dai and others were also ready to protect the crown princess, and they would never let the crown princess be in danger. At this time, an arrow pierced through. Lu Qiqi saw the flying arrow and forgot to dodge in shock. With a puff, Lu Qiqi did not feel any pain. When she looked over, she found that it was Yu Dai who was shot. Yu Dai lowered her head and just took a look, and gave a death order to Qing Dai and Zhou Yin beside her. "You protect the crown princess." Qing Dai and Zhou Yin knew what Yu Dai meant, and what to do. Leaving Yu Dai behind would be a matter of life and death. Yu Dai? Lu Qiqi disagreed with this statement. She would definitely leave. The scene before her changed from fear just now to determination now. No matter what, she would face it bravely. Thinking of the treasure that the system gave her that time, she had not used up yet, and she forgot to bring it with her. She secretly summoned the system. "Give it to me quickly." As soon as Lu Qiqi finished speaking, a small bottle appeared in her hand. Just as Lu Qiqi was about to take action, a group of people in black appeared and quickly protected them. Lu Qiqi didn't know who this person belonged to or what their purpose was. Yu Dai was in the most dangerous situation at the moment. "Yu Dai? I'm fine." Lu Qiqi gave Qing Dai a look, and Qing Dai immediately stepped forward and observed. "There's no poison on the arrow." Lu Qiqi took out Chu Xiang's own medicine and asked Qing Dai to feed her a pill. Worried that it would not work, she pretended to look at the arrow on Yu Dai's shoulder and accidentally cut it, letting her blood fall along the arrow to the location of Yu Dai's wound. "Crown Princess, you are injured." The injured Yu Dai suddenly felt that her shoulder was not so painful. Looking over, she happened to see the bleeding palm of the crown princess. "Take care of yourself first." Lu Qiqi saw that Yu Dai's condition had improved a little, so she handed the medicine bottle in her hand to Zhou Yin and looked around again. Chapter 488 Siege. Yu Dai, Qing Dai, Zhou Yin, and others saw the crown princess's move. Zhou Yin took the medicine bottle in her hand and nodded slightly. Qing Dai was busy pulling out the arrow for Yu Dai, and Yu Dai looked around vigilantly to prevent any more accidents. The black-clothed men who had just appeared gave them a chance. But these black-clothed men were obviously no match for those people. When those people were about to rush up again, Zhou Yin saw the opportunity, raised her finger, opened the medicine bottle, and sprinkled the medicine in the bottle. It was just a blink of an eye, and Lu Qiqi and others cooperated tacitly. Several people held their breath, and the powder sprinkled around was successfully inhaled by the people. Just when Lu Qiqi thought that this medicine would not kill them immediately, it should have knocked them down immediately. But, strangely, this medicine only slowed down the action. Zhou Yin immediately counterattacked, and Qing Dai did not care about Yu Dai's wounds, and killed the people around her. Lu Qiqi was not idle. She treated Yu Dai's wound and accurately flowed her blood to Yu Dai's wound again. Yu Dai looked around vigilantly, and noticed the crown princess's actions. She was about to say something, but she saw the crown princess clenching her palms tightly, and a drop of blood dripped into the wound. She pretended not to see it. The three people worked together to solve the crisis in front of them, and suddenly someone rushed over from a distance. Lu Qiqi didn't know how many such people there were on the other side. Yu Dai was injured. Qing Dai and Zhou Yin were not omnipotent, and she was deciding to retreat to the tea house first and then make plans. Suddenly, a man in black jumped out from behind, Senior sister. It's dangerous here. Follow me. This person only showed a pair of eyes. And Lu Qiqi confirmed that it was Ma Xingyuan by the voice. Yu Dai was alert to her surroundings. Unexpectedly, the person who rushed out from behind saw the other party grabbing the crown princess's hand and was about to attack. But Lu Qiqi spoke. One of our own. Yu Dai did not attack with injuries. Lu Qiqi supported Yu Dai and called Qin Dai and Zhou Yin, saying, "Hide in the tea house first." Qin Dai and Zhou Yin were alert to the black-clad man who appeared and gradually retreated. When they arrived at the tea house, there was no one here. The weirdness everywhere made Lu Qiqi have no time to think too much. At this time, the masked Ma Xingyuan took Lu Qiqi to the warehouse of the tea house. As the warehouse opened, he moved a few more boxes, and a secret door appeared. He explained anxiously, "This secret passage leads to the outside of the city. Remember, after you enter the secret passage, only take the middle road. No matter what you hear or see, don't believe it. Just walk." Lu Qiqi has known Ma Xingyuan for so long, and she guessed a general idea after hearing this. She was worried about Ma Xingyuan again. "What about you?" "I'm fine. You go quickly. It's too late if you don't go." Ma Xingyuan said this, and there was no time to explain more, and pushed Lu Qiqi into the secret passage. Yu Dai and others were still on guard against the black-clothed man in front of him. Seeing that the crown princess was so trusting, they felt strange. When they saw the crown princess enter the secret room, they hurriedly followed. They all knew that the situation today was dangerous and must not let the crown princess get hurt. Lu Qiqi wanted to pull Ma Xingyuan away, but was rejected by Ma Xingyuan. "As long as you are safe." Lu Qiqi wanted to say something, but seeing the blocked secret passage, Lu Qiqi could only leave temporarily. Everything about today was strange. Thinking of the black-clad man who had started to stop them and the appearance of Ma Xingyuan, she had a rough idea in her heart. She just hoped that what happened today would not implicate him. "Crown Princess, is that person trustworthy?" Yu Dai was injured, but she was still most concerned about the Crown Princess's situation. Trustworthy. What else could Lu Qiqi say? It's impossible to say that those people who just disguise themselves as civilians are most likely from Huagu, and the person who just saved them is the young master of Huagu, or this year's new champion Ma Xingyuan. Each of them had complicated thoughts, and they thought that safety was the most important thing. Soon, they faced a new test. As they were walking, they heard a painful wail. Several people trembled in their hearts, and Lu Qiqi's heart almost jumped to her throat. Thinking of Ma Xingyuan's words, Lu Qiqi tried to ignore it, but the voice kept drilling into her ears. Just when Lu Qiqi was about to be unable to bear this, a three-way intersection appeared in front of her. Thinking of Ma Xingyuan's reminder, Lu Qiqi took the middle road directly. After walking for a while, the wail behind her disappeared, and she heard the roar of wild beasts instead. With a previous experience, Lu Qiqi was sure that this secret passage either hid a secret that could not be told, or everything she heard was fake. Thinking about it, she turned around, patted Yu Dai, Qin Dai, and Zhou Yan's ears with her hands, then patted her mouth, and then gently tapped her eyes. Seeing the three maids nod, she grabbed Yu Dai grabbed Qin Dai grabbed Zhou Yan, and the four of them held hands and continued to move forward. At first it was just a sound, and then there were scenes that made people smack their lips. A tiger suddenly rushed over from the side, and Lu Qiqi grabbed Yu Dai's hand and suddenly exerted force. Yu Dai and the other two were also startled. Tiger. How could there be a tiger in the capital? And in the secret passage? Just as they were about to take precautions, they saw the abnormality of the Crown Princess. As the Crown Princess blinked, they didn't know why, but they still did it. A strange scene happened. The tiger in front of them seemed not to see them and left, because the appearance of the tiger was a reminder to them. They later saw a group of people passing by in white clothes, saw the sudden rolling water that was about to swallow them, and suddenly stopped. Saw countless people in black holding swords rushing towards them. Saw the ground suddenly turned into a cliff. Saw Lu Qiqi had been walking in front, and finally saw a ray of sunshine. They had no expression. When Lu Qiqi squatted down, grabbed a handful of grass, and felt warm, they let go of Yu Dai's hand. "We are safe." Yu Dai, Qin Dai, and Zhou Yan saw the Crown Princess talking and imitated Lu Qiqi's actions. Qin Dai was more direct, pulling out a hairpin from her head and inserting it directly into the tree trunk next to her. We are safe. Several people were happy for their temporary safety. Soon they found that they seemed to be in a forest, and the secret passage behind them disappeared. I don't know how they got out, or what happened to this forest. It seems that they have been playing in the forest, and got lost for a while. Lucici thought more, worried that they were still in the illusion, and eager to know something. So she slapped her thigh hard, and the pain made her tears roll. Crown Princess? Crown Princess? Crown Princess? In the eyes of the three maids, the Crown Princess escaped from danger and was scared. Lucici looked at the three of them. I don't know where we are. The most important thing now is to leave this place. The three maids agreed and left. Before leaving, Qingdai first confirmed that Yudai's injury would not be serious, and the four of them set off together. I don't know how long they walked. I only know that when they are hungry, they pick wild fruits to eat. When they are thirsty, they drink water from the stream. And when they are tired, they lie on the ground to rest for a while. When they finally walked out of the woods, they found an official road. There was the sound of galloping horses on the official road. Not knowing whether the other party is an enemy or a friend, several people can only hide temporarily. Soon, the group of people came to them, as if they were looking for someone. Chapter 489. Who else but that grandson? Lucici and her friends had just come out of the mysterious woods. They were tired and hungry. Facing this situation, they were immediately on guard. They didn't dare to be careless when these people left. They had a bad feeling in their hearts that these people were coming for them. Seeing them riding tall horses, they were not ordinary people, but a group of people like this. Yudai didn't know where these people came from for a while. Lucici's psychology was even more complicated. Could such a large-scale movement be from the people of Huagu? At first, she didn't notice it. Later, Ma Xingyuan appeared and walked through such a secret passage. When he came out, he passed through the foggy woods. It seemed that all of this could be related to the mysterious Huagu. Lucici always felt that what she experienced this time was too dangerous. Before the few people could catch their breath, the sound of horse hooves came again, still in the direction that the group of people just went. The few people became tense again when a group of people rode their horses to the place where they had just stopped. They did not leave this time. They searched the place for a while. When someone was about to dismount, a strange sound came from a distance, and these people tightened the reins again and left. Yudai said to the Crown Princess, "Crown Princess, we should have been discovered. Go!" Lucici felt the same way. Facing unknown dangers, Lucici did not have many ideas. Everything was important to save her life. At this time, several people gave up the idea of leaving from the official road and wanted to go to the capital from the small road. Not long after they left, they heard the sound of horse hooves again. This time, the movement was a little different from the previous one. It should be the sound of a carriage. Yudai led them to leave from the small road in a hurry. Several people were tired and hungry. Facing this situation, the sound of horse hooves was more like stepping on the tip of their hearts. Hearing the sound of horse hooves gradually fade away, they dared not be careless and continued to walk quickly. When they thought they had hidden away, a man suddenly appeared in front of them. He was dressed in black, with only two eyes exposed. Yudai immediately came to Lucici, and Qingdai and Zhou Yan protected the Crown Princess on both sides. The man in black pulled down his mask. "It's me, old man." Lucici recognized that it was the old man who had eaten her clay pot chicken for a month, and later met him in the Prime Minister's mansion. "Why is he here?" The old man came to Lucici and explained. "Crown Princess, the Prime Minister asked me to pick you up. You should come with me quickly." "What's going on?" Lucici trusted the old man, and she also felt that what happened today was strange. "Today, I have seen it. In order to catch you, all the monsters and demons have been dispatched." Lucici thought that the relationship between the old man and Prime Minister Chu was such that many people might have been dispatched to make him say monsters and demons. Finally agreed to leave with the old man. After they left the woods, they walked up a small road. After walking for a while, they heard the sound of a carriage approaching. Lucici and others were shocked by what happened today. She subconsciously stopped and looked around vigilantly. "It's okay. It's our carriage. What can an old man like me do? It's all arranged by him." "Prime Minister? Who else except that grandson?" The old man's voice suddenly rose. Lucici thought that the old man was angry, and didn't know that Prime Minister Chu was really his grandson's uncle. The carriage drove slowly over. And Lu Qiqi breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that it was Hao Ziyu who was driving the carriage. Hao Ziyu stopped the carriage, looked Lu Qiqi up and down, and was relieved to make sure that she was just a little embarrassed and not injured. It's not safe here. Get on the carriage. Lu Qiqi walked to the carriage. Thank you. In this situation today, even if you don't want to trouble, you have to trouble. You die and others are really worried that they can't protect the crown princess. Now they see that they are all people who have appeared beside Prime Minister Chu. They have doubts in their hearts, and decide to get on the carriage and leave first. After getting on the carriage, Lu Qiqi was obviously relieved because she didn't say much outside. When the carriage stopped, Lu Qiqi saw that it was a mansion, because it was the back door. She didn't know whose house it was. Hao Ziyu jumped off the carriage and explained to Lu Qiqi. The crown princess. Please go in quickly. The crown prince should come later. Today's matter? I have to trouble Master Hao. Hao Ziyu smiled slightly, said nothing, and got on the carriage. The old man did not leave. Pushed open the door in front of him, and walked in with Lu Qiqi and others. The moment the door closed, Hao Ziyu, who was originally leaving with a carriage, suddenly stopped. Someone came in the dark and left with a carriage. Hao Ziyu stood there and looked for a while. Then he tapped his feet and disappeared. Here, Lu Qiqi followed the old man into the house from the back door, and found that the house was somewhat similar to the xiangfu she had been to. The old man explained as he walked. This is the home he settled outside the city. The crown princess can rest assured to stay here. Is this the Xiangya's villa? The old man sighed. Yes. Lu Qiqi saw that the old man had a lot of opinions about Prime Minister Chu, but she was not in a position to say it at this time. When she came to a courtyard in the backyard, she saw Huaji busy inside as soon as she entered the door. Huaji heard the noise, turned around, and saw that it was Lu Qiqi, and smiled slightly. The crown princess can rest here without worry. Thank you. Lu Qiqi sincerely thanked. Nothing is more touching than the people who lend a helping hand when you are in danger. Lu Qiqi didn't know why it happened today, but she knew that it wouldn't be possible without the help of these people. Crown princess, you are so polite. I have prepared hot water in the next room. Crown princess can wash up first. Clean clothes are also ready. Crown princess, don't worry about wearing them. Lu Qiqi nodded. You rest first. The food will be ready soon. Huaji said and left quickly. Yu Dai and others still remembered the last time they saw Huaji. The sudden change made them think it was because of what happened today. They didn't think much about it. When Lu Qiqi and others came to the next door, they saw the 4 wooden barrels and clothes prepared, and they were moved. Lu Qiqi wanted to wash herself and let the others wash as well, but they insisted. In the end, Zhou Yin served the crown princess. Qi Dai treated Yu Dai's wound, and waited until Lu Qiqi finished bathing before the 3 of them went into the wooden barrel to wash. Lu Qiqi sighed that Huaji had prepared carefully for them. While Yu Dai and the other 2 were washing up, Lu Qiqi went to find Huaji to ask for clarification. What happened today was too sudden. Lu Qiqi secretly summoned the system several times. At first, she could communicate in the tea house. But later, she didn't know why she couldn't get in touch with it for several times in a row. She thought that the system had failed at the critical moment, when she was smelling the smell and going to the kitchen to find someone. The system's voice suddenly came. This place is safe. You can stay here without worry. Lu Qiqi was angry. What's wrong with you? I can't get in touch with you for a whole day. Chapter 490 Formation. System. I am being interfered by some signal and cannot hear your call. Lu Qiqi was stunned. What happened? The system is her strong backing. He can't get into trouble. System. I don't know yet. I'm checking. I finally got in touch this time to tell you. Today is too dangerous. Lu Qiqi. What happened? System. Concubine Wu was killed by the people of Huagu. I don't know why the people of Huagu are looking for you. Lu Qiqi. Why are you looking for me? System. It's not clear yet. But now everyone in Huagu has a portrait of you, saying that if you are caught, there will be a huge reward. Lu Qiqi was even more confused, and was sure that the people of Huagu wanted to deal with her. System. Also, today, General Beidou was killed just after leaving the city gate. Lu Qiqi's heart was again in a mess. Not knowing what happened during this period, always felt that it was not a good thing. Where is the prince? System. The prince is on his way. After hearing this, Lu Qiqi finally felt relieved. System. The prince's original intention is to let you stay here for a few days. Lu Qiqi. Why? System. I don't know the prince's plan for the time being. It should be related to the people in Huagu. Lu Qiqi. Is it safe here? System laughed. This is the place of Prime Minister Chu. No one can come in if he doesn't want to let anyone in. Lu Qiqi was about to say something else. Huaji finished cooking the food. And just as she walked out of the kitchen, you saw Lu Qiqi. Crown Princess? Lu Qiqi stepped forward quickly and took a dish from Huaji's hand. Huaji. Thank you. Huaji was a little embarrassed. Thinking of what happened in the Prime Minister's mansion last time, she felt guilty. It's good that the Crown Princess doesn't hold a grudge. It's all in the past. Besides, it's for the Prime Minister's good. Huaji was happy to see Lu Qiqi being so sensible. After sending the dishes, she cooked 2 more dishes. Lu Qiqi saw Huaji busy in and out and invited her to eat together. Huaji felt embarrassed and wanted to refuse. Then she saw 3 maids eating with the Crown Princess and felt strange. Yu Dai explained on her behalf. When there are no outsiders, the Crown Princess always lets the servants eat together. There is such a thing? Huaji was shocked. The master can eat with the maid? Yu Dai didn't say much, and pulled Huaji to sit down and eat. Huaji felt embarrassed to let someone who hurt you pull you. She sat down and started eating together. Suddenly, she felt that the food cooked today was particularly fragrant. I have been eating alone all these years. I feel that the food tastes better when there are people around to eat together. During the meal, several people discussed which dish was more delicious and what seasonings were added. It was very lively to eat and talk. After several people finished eating, they cleaned the table together. Lu Qiqi wanted to take action, but was rejected. So she sat next to them and drank tea quietly. Soon, the table was cleaned up, and Huaji brought some oranges and apples and left. Lu Qiqi asked Yu Dai and the other 2 to eat together. They picked up apples one by one and didn't eat for a long time. I don't know why what happened today was dangerous, but now it's settled down. And there should be no danger for the time being, because there is no contact with the outside world. And I don't know what the situation is. Everyone was silent because they had something on their minds. Until the arrival of the prince, several people breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Qiqi saw the prince standing at the door and shed silent tears. What happened today was too dangerous. She knew some things from the system, but not all of it. She had not seen the prince, and she was always worried. Seeing the prince himself, her heart finally settled down. The 3 maids saw the prince coming, breathed a sigh of relief, and left one by one. Prince. Lu Qiqi spoke, full of grievances. The prince hugged the woman. Okay. It's okay. It's all over. Is it really over? The prince paused. Very soon. What is going on? The prince let go of the woman and pulled her to sit on his lap. General Beidou has not been idle since he came to the capital. He left this time with too many secrets and can't let him go back. Then, he died? Yeah. Why am I implicated? The prince explained. Concubine Wu was killed in the Dali temple, and a person from Huagu was caught. This person has some identity. Maybe they are afraid of exposing too many secrets, so they want to use you to threaten me. I left the palace on impulse. It is because of this that some people will make temporary arrangements. Otherwise, today's events may be even more dangerous. The prince did not want to say more about this matter, and asked, How did you escape from the tea house? The prince was leading people to attack General Beidou, and suddenly got the news that Lu Qiqi was in danger. When he rushed over and found it, many black-clothed people died outside the tea house, and some civilians died, but there was no trace of Lu Qiqi. Unfortunately, there was no clue on those dead bodies. If it were not for the wound on his palm later, if it were not for what Chunbai said, he would have thought that Lu Qiqi was really in danger. Lu Qiqi didn't want to tell the prince about Ma Xingyuan. If she didn't, she would be a little sorry for him. She couldn't explain it either, so she could only make it seem like it. It was the people in the tea house who asked us to leave through the secret passage. I don't know how, but after leaving the secret passage, we found ourselves in a forest. We walked for a long time before we came to an official road. Later, Lu Qiqi gave a general account of the matter. After hearing it, the prince felt suspicious in many places. Because of the woman's trembling body, he felt that as long as the woman was safe, this was the most important thing. Qiqi, things outside haven't been dealt with yet. You have to stay here for a few days. How many days? The prince thought for a while. 5 days? Okay. I'll only wait for you for 5 days. Lu Qiqi felt a little guilty, because she couldn't confess everything to the prince. She also felt that she couldn't let the prince face danger alone. She didn't do anything. So she deliberately forced the prince. The prince nodded. This is the other courtyard of Prime Minister Chu outside the city. You can rest assured to live here. No one will disturb you. Are you so sure? Lu Qiqi deliberately started with this slightly lighter topic. There is a formation here. And others can't see it. Can't see it? If someone walks here, they will get out as if they are lost. So don't worry about it here. Lu Qiqi knew that the formation is also a national quintessence. And she firmly believed it. She also vaguely felt that the forest that appeared after they left the secret passage should not be a real forest. And there might be a formation inside. Thinking that it was Ma Xingyuan who showed her the way. It shows that the identity of Huagu is indeed too mysterious. What kind of existence is Huagu falling to the ground? After what happened today, she felt it necessary to make it clear to Ma Xingyuan. With something in her heart. When the prince was about to leave, Lu Qiqi reluctantly sent him to the door. Yu Dai and the other two arrived. Crown Princess? The prince said that we will stay here for 5 days. After saying that, Lu Qiqi hoped in her heart that Ma Xingyuan had better do a good job of follow-up, and not expose himself easily. I always feel that exposing Ma Xingyuan now may not be a good thing. Chapter 491 The Real Murderer. Capital. Many people died in the capital within 1 day. There were the people of the capital, and the army that was supposed to leave to escort the bride. For a time, the people of the capital were in a panic. The streets were like a clearing, with almost no one, and the vendors walking around were gone. And there were few shops open on the street. This was already frightening. And even so, there were still many officers and soldiers patrolling the streets every day. At this time, as long as there was still some brains, no one dared to go out on such a day. I was afraid that people could go out and never come back. At this moment, on the pipeline outside the capital, Lord Yan of the Dali Temple led people to investigate the cause of death of General Beidou of Wu. This matter was related to the relationship between Wu and Qin. And at this critical juncture of the marriage, if the two countries were not given a reasonable explanation, once the war broke out, the people of the two countries would suffer. What made Lord Yan even more embarrassed was that he met the prince before leaving today. And the prince's words still made him sweat on his face. Recalling what the prince said at that time. This is the most difficult case so far. Because the prince said frankly that he was the one who attacked General Beidou in order to prevent General Beidou from bringing the secrets of Qin back to Wu. The prince's statement is reasonable. But he does not agree with the prince's approach. When General Beidou stayed in the capital for a long time, Lord Yan suspected this person's purpose. But there were too many cases around him recently, and many things to do. So he didn't have so much time to pay attention. Who would have thought that this would happen? In Lord Yan's view, as long as the crime of General Beidou was made public, it would not only have nothing to do with Qin, but we would also have to give him a reasonable explanation. From the active situation to the passive one, Lord Yan was very troubled. How to give everyone a reasonable explanation and handle this matter perfectly. He always felt that it violated his original intention to enter the officialdom. Lord Yan knew the prince. If it was not a last resort, the prince would not do such an irrational thing. For the sake of the family and the country, he could only bite the bullet and do it. Lord Yan led people to investigate and deal with urgent matters. If he did not handle it well, it would provoke a war between the two countries. When Lord Yan was worried, he heard a sound of horse hooves. He turned his head and saw that it was the carriage of the Princess of Wu. Princess of Wu. Lord Yan didn't know what to say, so he could only bow his head and do his work. When the Princess of Wu came to her, Lord Yan could no longer avoid it, and saluted to the Princess of Wu. Meet the princess. Lord Yan. General Beidou. Before the Princess of Wu finished speaking, her eyes were red, and Lord Yan was immediately overwhelmed. He came to send a marriage, but he died here. As the Princess of Wu, I can understand that he is sad. The key is how he should say it. General Beidou's case is still under investigation. I wonder if the princess has any clues. Everything can only be summarized as the case. Princess Hongyu wiped her tears with a handkerchief and said, "No. After General Beidou came to our court, did he have any grudges with anyone?" Princess Wu shook her head. "Princess, there are still many suspicious points in the case. I will investigate it carefully and send someone to notify the princess when there is a result," said Lord Yan. Princess Wu heard this and asked, "Can I see General Beta for the last time?" Lord Yin was a little embarrassed, and he didn't say anything, just shook his head. Princess Wu said, "General Beta sent me to the accident. It is reasonable for me to see him for the last time. Please be flexible." Lord Yin wanted to refuse, but at this moment, he saw the prince coming from a distance, and he was relieved. When the prince came to him, he saluted. "Your Highness, how is the matter going?" the prince asked. "We found several suspicious points and are investigating further." Lord Yin is at ease with this case. But Lord Yin, the one who died, was General Beidou, who came to send his bride. Although he stayed in the capital and went in and out of various places, his purpose is questionable. But we in Qin are all generous people. Please handle this case impartially. Lord Yin's mouth twitched when he heard it. "Prince, you are too good at acting. If I handle this impartially, I will arrest you. But will you let me arrest you?" "Yes." "You continue to be busy. I will just take a look." "Yes." Lord Yin breathed a sigh of relief, clasped his fists towards Princess Wu, and quickly started to work with his people. The prince was relieved when he saw Lord Yin. For Princess Wu, he had other purposes for coming. "Princess Hongyu?" the prince said. "Hello, Your Highness," Princess Wu said. "Princess Hongyu, did General Beidou do anything unusual the night before he left?" Princess Wu heard this and thought about it carefully for a while. "Nothing special. General Beidou drank a lot that day, and after returning, he vomited several times. And it was the people around General Beidou who took care of him. Nothing else?" Princess Wu shook her head. "After General Beidou came to the capital, did he have an argument with someone? Did he have an unpleasant quarrel? I don't know. Oh, I stay in the post house almost every day and rarely go out. The general went in and out of the palace several times, so he must have come into contact with many people." The prince narrowed his eyes and looked at the harmless Princess Wu in front of him. He was doubting the accuracy of the news he got. He was most concerned about General Beidou. It must be said that General Beidou was a military general with a delicate mind. If he had no choice, he would not take risks. Look at the harmless Princess Wu in front of him. According to reliable information, Princess Wu and General Beidou had an ambiguous relationship. Now that she saw that General Beidou was dead, she didn't feel much sadness in her eyes. Is it to distance himself from the relationship and protect himself? Or is this man another wolf in sheep's clothing? Who did the princess contact? I don't know. At this moment, Lord Yin suddenly ran over and whispered something in the prince's ear. The prince glanced at Princess Wu and walked quickly towards the body of General Beidou. Princess Wu wanted to go over, but was stopped by Zhao Kai. "Princess, please stay. Have you found anything?" Princess Wu was not angry and met Zhao Kai's eyes calmly. Zhao Kai said in a businesslike manner, "Lord Yin is investigating the case. If Princess Wu wants to know something, please wait." Princess Wu did not force her way in after hearing this. She stood there and waited for a long time. When it was noon, Princess Wu's stomach growled. Yixuan, the maid next to the palace maid, came up and reminded her in a low voice, "Princess, you haven't eaten for a day. If you continue like this, the real murderer who killed General Beidou has not been caught yet. Don't let your body collapse." "I'm fine." Princess Wu just said this when her stomach growled again. Zhao Kai seemed not to hear and continued to stand there diligently. Princess Wu was really hungry and looked into the distance again. Now she couldn't go over and could only leave disappointed. When she walked towards the carriage, she asked the maid Yixuan, "Have I sent the letter to my brother?" "It has been sent." Princess Wu sighed. "General Beidou has this happened. It's too unexpected. I heard that Lord Yin of the Dali Temple enforces the law impartially, and will find the real culprit as soon as possible and give our country an explanation." Princess Wu sighed. "It's better this way." Chapter 492. Everything is too much or too little. Zhao Kai saw the master and servant leave. Zhao Kai came to the prince and said, "Princess Wugong is gone. Did she say anything?" Zhao Kai repeated what he had just heard. After hearing it, the prince looked at Lord Yin. "It's just as the prince expected." The prince smiled. It turned out that a breakthrough could be found from the Princess of Wu. Thinking about it, the prince was not in a hurry for this case. He found a reasonable excuse for the person who attacked General Beidou. Thinking about it, he explained to Lord Yin again and strode away quickly. When the prince came to the horse, he ordered Zhao Kai, "Keep an eye on it. There can't be any mistakes." Yes. The prince explained the matter. He rode away. And Zhao Kai followed and rode in the opposite direction. The prince soon came to the tea house, where the incident happened. All the people in the tea house died. No one was alive. Now it was unknown whether the person who sent Lucici out through the secret passage was an enemy or a friend. In short, this matter was very strange. According to Lucici's hint, he found the secret passage of the warehouse. He led people into the secret passage and found that the secret passage was in a farmhouse not far behind the tea house. After entering the farmhouse, the prince saw that everything inside seemed to be the living place of the tea house owner and his servants. In this way, the secret passage can be explained clearly. However, tea houses usually rest in the backyard, and there is no extra house to live in. This is obviously unreasonable. Lucici said that when they left the secret passage, they were in a forest outside the city. What is going on? Thinking of where Lucici lives now, he immediately rode his horse to the Prime Minister's residence. Just arrived at the Prime Minister's residence, I saw Hao Ziyu coming out of the Prime Minister's residence. Your Highness. Hao Ziyu saluted. Is Jing Xiaoyin so idle? The prince just disliked Hao Ziyu. Without outsiders, the prince directly expressed his dissatisfaction in his heart. Reporting to the prince, there is a case that needs the Prime Minister's help. Hee. The prince laughed. If Lord Hao can't be Jing Xiaoyin, you can bring it up. Thank you for your concern. The ministers will do their best to do everything for Jing Xiaoyin. The prince was not happy. This is declaring war on himself. Thinking about it, I thought of one thing. It just so happens that Lord Yin has too many things to do now, and he can't handle it for a while. Regarding Hao Zining, let Lord Hao handle it. Hao Ziyu didn't seem to hear Hao Zining's name, and said in a businesslike manner, Yes, I obey your order. The prince was annoyed when he saw someone pretending, and he flicked his sleeves and walked towards the Prime Minister's residence. He had something to say to Prime Minister Chu today, and he was too lazy to talk nonsense with others. As for Hao Zining, it has been delayed for so long, and there should be a result. Now the person handling the matter has changed. He wants to see how capable Hao Ziyu is, whether he can protect Feiqian Castle, and give everyone an explanation. The prince pushed out a matter, and soon came to Prime Minister Chu. The moment he saw Prime Minister Chu, he found that Prime Minister Chu had aged a lot. His appearance had not changed for many years, and he began to age after his hair turned white. Seeing Prime Minister Chu like this, the prince's heart skipped a beat. Prime Minister Chu was calm, and looked up at the prince from the book. Is there something? The prince recovered and sat opposite Prime Minister Chu. Chi-Chi said that when she left the secret passage, there was a forest. They walked in the forest for a long time before finding an official road. I suspect that Chi-Chi encountered a formation. Prime Minister Chu did not answer, but looked at the chessboard next to him. Next game? The prince looked at him, stood up, and sat at the chessboard next to him. Soon, Prime Minister Chu held the white piece, and the prince held the black piece, and started playing chess. The two of them played chess quietly without saying a word. Prince Chu's chess style is the same as the feeling he gives people. Casual and unrestrained. While the prince's chess style is more sharp. But gradually this sharpness is defeated by Prime Minister Chu's casualness. The prince dropped a piece, and saw the chessboard in front of him. Once the defeat was made, it would be difficult to recover. He simply gave up. Prince Chu picked up the black piece in front of the prince. And after a few pieces, the original defeat could still turn around. The prince smiled and said, Prince, you did it on purpose. Prince, if you make a wrong move, you will lose the whole game. You are still a little anxious in this game. Anxious? The prince kept repeating the word anxious in his heart. Prime Minister Chu must have known that he was the one who wanted General Baidu to die. So he said this. It seems that he is anxious. But he has to do it. Since he has done it, he will never regret it. Prince Chu looked at the prince. These few seemingly plain words. Just like doing things. The prince never regretted it no matter how far he went. Now talking about Chi-Chi. Prime Minister Chu mentioned General Baidu again. Obviously, Prime Minister Chu had met the Emperor. And the Emperor might have said something. Another game? Prince Chu asked. Since we have played before, there is no need. If you are interested, I will accompany you another day. The prince stood up. Since he didn't say it, he didn't ask. There are many things going on right now, and he still needs to control the overall situation. He can't stay for too long. Prince Chu slowly packed up the chess pieces. Everything is too much or too little. The prince heard it, glanced at Prime Minister Chu, and left quickly. He had not been in the Prime Minister's mansion for long, and when he left, a great change had taken place in his heart. General Baidu's affairs had been done, and he had recovered the losses for the state of Qin. But he had not yet explained to the state of Wu, and because he met the princess of the state of Wu, this was a turning point for Faken Fort, leaving the matter to Hao Ziyu himself. It could also be said that it was handled internally by Faken Fort, and because Hao Ziyu was now Jing Xiaoyin, it also belonged to the court. This matter could be temporarily put aside and quietly wait for the result. He only needed to correct the chaos in time at the critical moment if the direction was wrong. As for General Baidu, leaving the matter to Lord Yin, he could also rest assured. For Lu Qiqi, this matter must be cautious again and again. There was no room for carelessness in this matter. No matter what, he must do it himself. After leaving the Prime Minister's mansion, he originally planned to go directly outside the city to see the woman. But Eunuch Lu, who was beside the emperor, suddenly arrived and said that the emperor was not well. So he rushed to the palace without stopping. When he arrived at the Imperial Dragon Palace, he saw many imperial doctors busy at work, each of them looking as if they were facing a great enemy. The prince panicked. He thought of the scene when his mother left him when he was a child. Chapter 493 Is the Emperor Poisoned? The prince was almost drowned by the fear in his heart. Just when he was trapped in the painful memories, a hand suddenly rested on his shoulder. It was as if a person who was dying of thirst in the desert suddenly drank the sweet rain and dew, and his dry heart was instantly moisturized. When the prince turned around, he saw that the owner of the hand was Lu Qiqi, and he was stunned for a moment. You? Lu Qiqi touched the prince's forehead and smiled slightly. It is said that the prince's head cannot be touched. But I don't think so. Why did you come out? The prince found his voice, and thought that the person hiding in the dark had not been found yet. If Lu Qiqi appeared in the palace, it would be even more dangerous. He subconsciously pulled Lu Qiqi to leave, but was rejected. Lu Qiqi took out an amulet. Hurry up and give it to the emperor. When the prince saw the amulet, he seemed to see hope. He didn't care about the woman's disobedient behavior. He hurriedly took the amulet to the dragon bed, and put the amulet in the emperor's hand. The imperial doctors present saw the wise prince, and would also try all kinds of treatments. They were helpless. So how could a small amulet work? Several people murmured in their hearts, not daring to speak out. Soon, they changed their minds. Just because the emperor suddenly fell into a coma, and all kinds of conditions were not good, they thought the emperor would pass away directly. But unexpectedly, the emperor woke up. After waking up, the condition was still not good. But at least he was alive. Many imperial doctors were busy, and the prince was also happy that the emperor woke up. He held Lu Qiqi's hand tightly, and the gratitude in his heart could not be expressed in words. At this time, the queen mother and the queen who received the news arrived. They heard the news, and were concerned about the emperor's health. The queen mother came up to her tremblingly, and grabbed Lu Qiqi's hand. Qiqi, the emperor will be fine. Right? The emperor will get better. Lu Qiqi said. Okay. Okay. Qiqi's words make me feel relieved. The queen mother breathed a sigh of relief, wondering if she had lived too long and encountered such a thing again. The queen didn't have much affection for the emperor, and she was a little flustered when she heard that he was in danger. Xu Fei arrived late, and she stood outside the door wiping her tears. The queen turned her head and saw it, thinking, this woman would also cry for the emperor? That day, she followed Xu Fei to a yard and met another man. 2 days later, someone found the man's body. When she heard the scars, the queen first suspected Xu Fei. Could it be that Xu Fei killed her lover because she was exposed? She couldn't see it clearly. The two hadn't fought for a long time recently, and the queen almost forgot how cruel Xu Fei was. Concubine Xu cried for a while, met the queen's eyes, and bowed. When the prince saw the queen mother, he immediately had a backbone and came over to explain the emperor's situation. The queen mother was much better because of Lu Qiqi's words. It's good that you are fine. It's good that you are fine. With the blessing of the royal grandmother, the emperor will be fine. The queen mother smiled. It's not the royal grandmother's credit. It's Qiqi's credit. Lu Qiqi was embarrassed by what she said, and seeing the queen mother's bright eyes. Did she know something? When several people had different thoughts, the emperor coughed, and everyone rushed to the emperor. The prince took the opportunity to call Ma imperial physician to the side and asked about the situation. After hearing that the emperor might be poisoned, the prince's face suddenly darkened. Ma Yui said what he should say, and he quietly retreated. He wanted to poison the emperor in the palace, but he didn't know who was looking for death. He also thought that General Beidou was about to leave the capital and was killed outside the city gate. Now the emperor has been poisoned, and all signs indicate that the road ahead is dangerous. Lu Qiqi stood by, and she didn't hear what Ma Yui said to the prince. But she saw that the prince's face was not good, and Lu Qiqi's heart was beating wildly. She was in the villa of Prime Minister Chu outside the city, and suddenly received a message from the system. She rushed over regardless of the danger. Fortunately, she still caught up. Now looking at the prince's face, there should be another tricky thing. Thinking that she had left the villa and returned to the palace, she forced back. No matter what she faced, she would not escape again. Everyone in the emperor's Yulong palace would not say anything that shouldn't be said. After a while, when the emperor's condition stabilized, everything was handed over to the prince. The queen mother and the empress saw that the crown prince was tired, and took the initiative to stay and take care of the emperor, while the crown prince dealt with the matter at ease. The crown prince wanted to catch the person behind the scenes immediately. He was also worried about Lu Qiqi's safety, so he settled Lu Qiqi in the East Palace before leaving to do business. Chunbai hadn't seen the crown princess for 2 days, and was really worried. Seeing that the crown princess came back safely, she cried excitedly, kneeling in front of the crown princess. "Crown princess, I beg you, don't leave me again in the future." Lu Qiqi was moved. "If you hadn't informed the crown prince, I'm afraid we would have met in the underworld." Yu Dai and others all had tears in their eyes when they heard this. Yu Dai followed the crown princess back, and didn't know much about what was happening outside. After the initial reminiscence, Chunbai told what happened after she left. General Beidou died. All the people in the tea house died. Many people in the capital also died. After hearing so many deaths, the only thing Lu Qiqi could understand was that the people who died in the tea house should be related to herself. If this was done by someone else, they should want to know where they went later. Lu Qiqi thought again that when they returned to the tea house later, there was no one in the tea house. It was Ma Xingyuan who sent them away. Does this mean that the people in the tea house were all done by Ma Xingyuan? Thinking of this, Lu Qiqi was stunned for a long time. Ma Xingyuan was still her familiar junior. But what had this junior experienced? When did he become a person who killed people without blinking an eye? She was heartbroken, and she knew that in an era that advocated martial arts more, her past thoughts were still too naive. Later, she heard that Sun Chao and others were all seriously injured, and Lu Qiqi's heart could not calm down. After telling each other about some things after they separated, everyone was silent. Lu Qiqi secretly summoned the system to ask something, but the summons were fruitless. Thinking of the last time the system said that her connection with the system was interfered. Was it the same this time? Lu Qiqi forced herself to calm down and carefully added up the recent events one by one. Her heart could not calm down for a long time. That night, the prince came back and said that the emperor was fine, and they were still investigating the person who poisoned him. When Lu Qiqi heard that the emperor was poisoned, her heart sank again. The emperor was poisoned. The prince nodded heavily. Are there any clues? I don't know now. I only know that my father was poisoned through the symptoms. I haven't found out what the poison is yet. Lu Qiqi, I have asked Ma Yui to find Yao Fengzi. Maybe he can know. Now put all the love on Yao Fengzi, and hope that this matter will go smoothly. Chapter 494. Crush the Walnuts. Crazy Yao? Lu Qiqi had never heard of this person. The prince thought about the situation that time and should not know him. So he explained. Crazy Yao is the uncle of Ma Imperial Physician. His medical skills are very high, but not many people know about it. Lu Qiqi thought that since the prince went to great lengths to find someone, he obviously believed in this person's medical skills. Thinking of the emperor's current situation, Lu Qiqi couldn't bear to tell the prince that the emperor's body had reached its limit, and even if he came back, he would not live long. I hope the prince can accept the reality. That's good. The prince gently hugged the woman and leaned his head on her shoulder, thinking that it was this woman who gave him courage when he was most helpless. He was not only thinking, if he had met her back then, would his life have been much smoother? He was also thinking, if they had met earlier, would his mother not have died? And would his childhood have been much happier? It would have been great if I had met you earlier. Why do you say that suddenly? Lu Qiqi turned her head and saw the man's gloomy look, and her heart was touched. Childhood life will affect a person's life. Some people will be extreme, and some people will have some defects in their personality. Fortunately, the prince has an emperor who secretly loves him, and a queen mother who openly favors him. The prince's personality is not too flawed. You know, when my father was not doing well, I thought of my mother. At that time, the prince recalled the past and couldn't say anything. When Lu Qiqi saw the prince like this, she thought of such a young child facing the pain of losing his mother. He must have been very lonely and helpless at that time. When she thought of the various bullyings of the young prince by the king of Chu and others, her heart ached. Okay, it's all over. No, you don't know. I was then. The prince told the story of the past in bits and pieces. Lu Qiqi tried to hold back, but her eyes were still red. I didn't expect a young child to experience so much inhuman torture in the gorgeous palace. Just listening, my heart was uncomfortable. How did the prince get through it at that time? At this time, I finally realized that when I was lonely, it was also a kind of happiness to have someone by my side. Lu Qiqi seemed to understand the death of the king of Chu, the death of the king of Qin, and the end of the king of Yan. I finally realized the saying, don't advise others to be kind if you don't know they're suffering. Lu Qiqi's quiet company was exactly what the prince needed. He vented his words in his heart, and soon put on a disguise, and continued to pretend to be strong. Lu Qiqi was touched in her heart, but she didn't show it on her face. It seemed that she was too cold-blooded to be indifferent to the touching story. In her heart, she knew that the prince didn't need sympathy. He just needed someone to talk to. Seeing that the prince was calm, Lu Qiqi asked 4 maids to prepare meals. The prince ate anxiously during the meal. Lu Qiqi saw it several times and asked, do you have anything else to do? I'm so hungry, the prince said vaguely. Lu Qiqi didn't say anything else. After the two of them finished eating, the prince imitated Lu Qiqi and touched his round belly. Lu Qiqi took the prince to the yard. It was cold, so they came to the flower room, and Chunbai soon brought tea. The two sat on the recliner in the flower room, smelling the familiar fragrance of flowers and slowly sipping tea. After a while, the two stomachs digested themselves, and Lu Qiqi ate dried fruits and drank tea. The prince saw the woman enjoying herself, so he did the same. After a while, he could feel the simple happiness of women, thinking of so many things around him. He should take action as soon as possible. I heard that General Beidou died. I did it, the prince said frankly. Lu Qiqi was stunned for a moment. You did it? The prince was good at planning. How could he do such a thing? Even if he really killed someone, it would not be too late to do it after leaving the border of Qin. He was not idle during this time in the capital. I was worried that too many secrets of Qin would be exposed, so I killed him directly. Why not wait until he left? The prince smiled, like a cat stealing fish. It is because it is more convenient to kill people in the capital. There will be troubles later. No. The prince smiled. Lu Qiqi looked at the prince, not knowing what he was up to. It's better to clear suspicion in the capital. Besides, the Wu Kingdom is very busy now, and has no time to deal with a general who is not doing his job well. With Princess Hongyu here, what can the Wu Kingdom do? How dare they start a war? Lu Qiqi. The prince snatched the dried fruit from Lu Qiqi's hand and threw it into his mouth. The old emperor of Wu Kingdom died, and the third prince hastily ascended the throne and wanted to expand the territory. He was too busy to handle it. You know a lot? When General Beidou was busy looking for the secrets of Qin Kingdom, I was also busy. Lu Qiqi knew that the prince would never do anything rash. Do you know how the third prince of Wu Kingdom ascended the throne? The prince asked. It must have been done by dishonorable means. The hands of every superior are not clean. Perhaps this marriage is also within the plan of the new emperor of Wu Kingdom. Lu Qiqi thought of another possibility, looked at the prince, and saw him nod again. And Lu Qiqi's heart sank. Who? Prince Qin. The prince crushed a paper shell walnut. The walnut skin and walnut kernel flew everywhere, like a person's head. He has been dead for a long time? The prince did not hide it. Prince Qin had colluded with the third prince of Wu a long time ago, but no evidence has been found. I only found out because of the matter in Yuzhou. However, Prince Qin is secretive, and important matters are handled by Minister Su. For this reason, after listening to this, Lu Qiqi's heart sank. Minister Su is Su Lei's father, and Yan Linger's father-in-law. According to the prince's words, the death of Minister Su should be intentional by the prince. Thinking of this, Lu Qiqi suddenly didn't know how to get along with Yan Linger when she met him in the future. Finally understood why when she asked the prince to help Su Lei. He refused so straightforwardly. The prince patted Lu Qiqi's hand. Don't worry. I know what I do. I like to get my revenge in this life. Not to implicate my entire family. Lu Qiqi looked at the prince and nodded. Indicated that he understood. The prince continued. General Beidou stayed in the capital for a long time, because he wanted to know the secrets left by King Chen after his death. This matter has been under investigation, and there has been no breakthrough. When General Beidou left, I knew something bad was going to happen. It seemed that the emperor had arranged a marriage for Princess Hongyu. But in fact, he must have had definite evidence that was unfavorable to the state of Qin. So I took the action later. What did General Beidou want to take away? He is too cunning. He didn't wear such an important thing. I have sent some people to stop General Beidou's people in the territory of the state of Qin. Lu Qiqi understood that the prince suspected that important evidence had been taken away by General Beidou's men through special channels. Don't worry. Everything is as planned. The prince comforted. Lu Qiqi saw that the prince was confident. So it was not easy to intervene in this matter. Now the prince was entangled with so many things. And he could still be calm now. His brain capacity was too large. Suddenly, the prince seemed to think of something. And his face changed again. He lowered his head and drank the teacup. One sip at a time. And sighed after drinking it. What's wrong? Lu Qiqi asked. Nothing. The prince shook his head. Lu Qiqi saw the prince like this and didn't say anything. The two were silent for a long time until Zhao Kai arrived. Your Highness, Yao Crazy's people are here. And they are at the emperor's side. The prince heard it and hurriedly got up and went to the Yulong Palace. Chapter 495 Climbing a Tree. Lu Qiqi wanted to follow him and wanted to know what was going on with the emperor. Suddenly, the system's voice came. Don't go. Lu Qiqi. What's wrong? I haven't heard the system's voice for a long time. Suddenly, I heard it again. Lu Qiqi had a bad feeling. System. The one who poisoned the emperor was someone from Huagu. Lu Qiqi. How is it possible? System. People from Huagu are everywhere. Nothing is impossible. Lu Qiqi was stunned. If this is true, once Ma Xingyuan's identity is exposed, it will be even more dangerous? Thinking of this, Lu Qiqi had a headache. The maid Chunbai arrived and asked with concern. Crown Princess, what's wrong with you? Headache. Chunbai stepped forward and gently massaged the Crown Princess's head. Seeing that the Crown Princess was in a better condition, she let go. Walk with me. After Lu Qiqi finished speaking, she got up and left the East Palace. Chunbai and others followed closely behind. Looking at the Crown Princess, who was obviously worried, they were all very distressed. There have been too many things happening in the palace recently, and the Crown Princess has begun to become silent. Lu Qiqi walked aimlessly. Wherever she went, there was no destination. I didn't know where I was. I saw someone flying a kite. The line was stuck on the tree. The kite flyer wanted to climb up the tree. But he was not a tree climber. So he was busy for a long time. But he was still struggling under the tree. Lu Qiqi walked over and looked at the little girl. She was not very old. About 17 or 18 years old. Dressed very well. She should be a master. Sister, can you help me take down the kite? The little girl blinked her big eyes, looking innocent and cute. Lu Qiqi didn't think much and did it herself. She hadn't done this for a long time. And she didn't know if she still had the ability to climb trees. Crown Princess. No. It's too dangerous. Chunbai said. Yudai glanced at the woman and stepped forward. Crown Princess. Let me do it. Crown Princess. Qindai also wanted to stop her. Lu Qiqi knew they would make a fuss. I haven't climbed a tree for a long time. I don't know if I can still do it. Chunbai almost fainted when she heard this. Are you the Crown Princess? The little girl asked. Lu Qiqi nodded. Everyone calls me that. I often hear the name of the Crown Princess. And today I really saw the Crown Princess in person. Lu Qiqi deliberately approached. They should be some bad rumors. Right? The little girl waved her hands repeatedly. No. No. I heard that the Crown Princess made delicious pastries. Lu Qiqi laughed when she heard this. Most people would say generously, it's okay. I'll make it for you. Lu Qiqi said nothing. Approached the tree, lifted her skirt, and climbed up the tree neatly. The tree was not too high. Lucici climbed up quickly, sat on a broken branch, and easily pulled the kite down. Chunbai was speechless when she saw the crown princess like this. The crown princess climbing a tree. This is something I dare not think about. What was even more speechless was that the crown princess did not come down from the top. Are you really the crown princess? The little girl picked up the kite on the ground and asked. You just asked? The girl was a little embarrassed, her face slightly red, and she explained. I didn't expect the crown princess to climb a tree. Now you see it. Lucici looked into the distance and felt a little disgusted with this little girl. I can't say it. When they first met, I felt very good at the beginning. At this moment, she didn't want to care about this person anymore. Is the crown princess angry? The little girl asked. Chunbai also saw that the woman was a little annoyed, so she stepped forward to explain. My lady, the crown princess likes quietness. Oh! The little girl nodded disappointedly and left with the kite. Lucici continued to sit on the tree branch, without the annoying sound. Lucici enjoyed the quietness of this moment. Sitting high, looking far, Lucici looked at everything unfamiliar around her. She had never been to this place. She came here by accident today, which gave Lucici an unexpected surprise. Looking at a large courtyard in the distance, many palace maids were busy washing clothes. It should be the Zinteku. Looking at everyone's busyness, and then looking at myself, I suddenly felt that it was nothing. It was a cold day, and they were still busy washing clothes. Now their hands and feet should be red with cold. They didn't complain. Why could such a small thing make me uneasy? This is too bad. Crown Princess, be careful. Chunbai was watching from below, and was frightened, worried that the Crown Princess would be injured. Lucici was not like that. Sitting on the tree branch, her calves swayed, and she felt indescribably comfortable. Yu Dai looked at the Crown Princess, thinking of the day when the Crown Princess's hand was broken. Blood dripped from the arrow to her wound, and many things happened later. Qing Dai showed her wound several times, and was always amazed that the wound healed quickly. Yu Dai was still unsure, and always felt that it was related to the Crown Princess. She didn't even tell Qing Dai, who was closest to her, about her suspicions in her heart. Just thinking about it, she saw a white streak passing by in the distance. It was Prime Minister Chu. Yu Dai thought of the day when Prime Minister Chu suddenly became seriously ill, when the Crown Princess went to visit the Prime Minister's residence, and the maid spoke to the Crown Princess in a bad tone. Later, she didn't know what happened in the kitchen, and she smelled blood. Later, the Crown Princess was injured, and her wound didn't heal for a long time. What's strange is that the condition of Prime Minister Chu was very bad at that time. Why did he get better in a few days? At that time, I just suspected it, and didn't think too much. Now, Yu Dai can be sure that all this is related to the Crown Princess. Looking at the Crown Princess sitting on the tree branch. It is not in accordance with the rules, but it feels so natural. Crown Princess, you should come down first. Chunbai persuaded. Lucici looked down at Chunbai. The scenery here is very beautiful. Do you want to come up and take a look? Crown Princess. It's not right for the Crown Princess to climb a tree, and it's even more wrong to encourage her maid to climb a tree. Chunbai wanted to preach, but Yu Dai came to the tree branch next to the Crown Princess and sat down. Chunbai was speechless. Qing Dai and Zhou Yan looked at each other, and the two flew up neatly. Chunbai saw that they all went up, and saw the look in their eyes, and climbed up with her, but sticking out regardless of etiquette. Lucici looked at Chunbai. I didn't lie to you, Crown Princess. That's Zinteku. What's so good about Zinteku? It's full of the lowest-ranking palace maids, doing the dirtiest and most tiring work, and being bullied all day long. She heard a lot about Zinteku, none of which was good. Look how happy they are. Chunbai's mouth twitched. That's not called happiness. That's breathing heavily from exhaustion. That place is quiet, undisturbed, and no one will poison it. Right? Chunbai and the others were silent. They all knew that the emperor was poisoned. What they couldn't figure out was that with so many people protecting the emperor, how could he be poisoned? Everyone's life is very hard, but some people's suffering is invisible to others. Lucici sighed. She decided to do something. After Lucici and the four maids sat on the tree branch for a long time, they came down from the tree and looked at the kites that were starting to fly in the distance. Yu Dai. Who was that little girl just now? Han Xian, the emperor's concubine, Yu Dai said. So young? The emperor is almost too old to walk. And he still wants to harm a little girl. Chapter 496, Hanging Herself. Seeing that the crown princess had misunderstood, Yu Dai hurriedly explained. There are many concubines like this in the palace. All set by others. Lu Qiqi thought about it, and realized that many people sent women to the upper class for wealth and glory. They are also pitiful people. I don't feel sorry for them. They are well-dressed and well-fed in the palace. Some people will never have such good luck in their lives. Chunbai said. Lu Qiqi said. What you said seems to make sense. There are so many people who don't have enough to eat outside. And there are not a few who starve to death. Those who can be sent to the palace should be those who are not favored at home. This place can at least have a quiet place to stay. Chunbai said again. Lu Qiqi paused. You know a lot. I also heard it from Meili. Is Meili about to leave the palace? A few days ago. Her lover gave her a lot of snacks and showed off to me. Lu Qiqi smiled. You can do it too. Chunbai was unhappy. And Lu Qiqi quickly changed her words. I know what you were thinking. I just said it. I don't mean anything else. Several people walked towards the East Palace as they were talking. As they were about to reach the East Palace, several people didn't notice that a reckless little maid rushed out and fell to the ground. Fortunately, Yu Dai was quick and stood in front of Lu Qiqi. Otherwise, she would have bumped into Lu Qiqi. The little maid saw that she had bumped into someone, hugged the small porcelain jar tightly, and apologized in a panic. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. You really deserve to die. Offending the crown princess is a capital crime. Yu Dai scolded sharply. When the little palace maid heard the crown princess, she looked up. Her face suddenly changed, and she knelt on the ground trembling. Lu Qiqi saw that the little maid cherished the jar very much. It looked like a wine jar, and not a drop spilled from the collision just now. Obviously, this jar was very important. I, the prince, deserve to die. I beg the princess to spare my life. Which palace are you from? Lu Qiqi asked. I work in Zinteku, the little maid said. Lu Qiqi glanced at Yu Dai. Forget it. The little maid didn't mean it. Let's forget it. Yes, Yu Dai responded. Lu Qiqi glanced at Yu Dai and left quickly. Chunbai, Qingdai, and Zhou Yin followed the princess to leave. Yu Dai waited until the princess walked away, and scolded the ignorant little maid. You are lucky today to meet the princess. If it was another master, you would have lost your life long ago. I know my crime. I thank the princess for not killing me. The little maid kowtowed and admitted her mistake. But she was very careful to protect the jar in her arms. Okay. Go, Yu Dai said. And the little maid stood up and trotted away. Yu Dai saw someone chasing the direction the little maid left, and she walked quickly towards the crown princess. Back to the East Palace. After Lu Qiqi came back, she found a white thing on her hand. She looked at her hand, which had never touched anything. So what was going on? Crown princess. Your hand? Chunbai said. Lu Qiqi twisted it with her fingers twice, and it felt like an animal shed skin. Qingdai. Take a look at this? Qingdai stepped forward and took a closer look. This should be snake skin. But why is it white? If it is really shed skin, it may be a white rat snake. White rat snake. The white rat snake is a white mutant individual in the mouse snake. Not the same as the albino mouse snake. In the absence of melanin, the skin pattern arrangement is different from that of common snakes of the same species or simple albino individuals. Lu Qiqi thought that the white rat snake is non-toxic, gentle, strong and powerful. The adult body is as thick as an arm and can reach more than 2 meters in length. The white rat snake likes to eat frogs, and indirectly eats birds and mice, and sometimes snakes. How could this snake appear in the palace? The molting of the white rat snake means that the white rat snake has been here for a long time. Thinking that she just climbed the tree. Could it be that the white rat snake is active around there? Thinking in her mind, she told Yu Dai to go to the big tree she just went to. Yu Dai left quickly. After about an instant's stick of time, Yu Dai came back and told the news she had just received. Crown princess. A palace maid saw a white thing crawling in the yard where the concubines live. It should be the white rat snake that the crown princess mentioned. Maybe that concubine has a special hobby. Lu Qiqi thought. Since it's not poisonous, it should be a pet raised out of boredom. Several people didn't take this matter seriously. In the evening, Chunbai came back from outside with red eyes. Lu Qiqi saw her sobbing and immediately found it funny. Why are you crying? Chunbai wiped her tears and said, Crown Princess, Miju is dead. Lu Qiqi dropped the book in her hand to the ground. What did you say? I went to the Imperial Kitchen and heard people in the Imperial Kitchen talking about it. They said that Miju was scolded by the nanny in the Imperial Kitchen. She couldn't think straight and hanged herself in the room. Chunbai choked and said, Crown Princess, Miju is not a person who can't think straight. There must be something strange about her death. No one cares about this. Lu Qiqi asked. Mi Jiao was just a little maid. No one took her death seriously. They just threw her body out of the palace. Chunbai kept crying when she said this. Lu Qiqi felt that Mi Jiao's death was strange. She also thought that what Chunbai said was right. There were so many maids and eunuchs in the palace. They had no background. If they died, they died. No one took it seriously. Chunbai knelt on the ground with a bang. Crown Princess, I beg you to do justice for Mi Jiao. Nonsense. Yu Dai was angry and scolded Chunbai. Chunbai also found that she had said the wrong thing and said nothing more. Lu Qiqi continued to read the storybook in her hand. But the storybook could no longer attract her attention. She simply put down the storybook and started watering the flowers. Simple actions, repeated many times, like a machine, gave Lu Qiqi's brain a better buffer. She thought a lot in her heart. Mi Jiao's death was indeed suspicious. But this matter had nothing to do with the East Palace. She couldn't get involved just because of Chunbai's words. The Crown Prince has too many tricky things to deal with now. So she has to focus on him first. Soon she put her attention back on the fact that the Emperor was poisoned. She didn't know if Crazy Yao was really that powerful and could tell the truth. She also thought of something that even the Imperial physician was not sure about. So it was obvious that someone was doing things in secret. Thinking about it, Lu Qiqi's heart became more complicated. There were not many people in the palace. And the battle for the throne was no longer suspenseful. What was going on in the palace? She thought of the concubine named Han Xian she met today. At first, she was really attracted by her simplicity. When she repeatedly said Crown Princess, Lu Qiqi thought of how many simple people there were in the palace. Thinking about it, many things about the women in the harem who did to win favor appeared in her mind. Just as she was thinking, the system voice came. Crazy Yao has discovered something. Lu Qiqi paused with a water scoop in her hand. Who is it? System. A concubine. Lu Qiqi thought of the concubine she met today. Han Xian? System. Not Han Xian, but a concubine named Ma Yin. Lu Qiqi couldn't figure it out. How could a concubine poison the emperor? System. Ma Yin had some skills. When she went to the kitchen to get food, she took advantage of others not paying attention and sneaked close to the ingredients for the emperor's food, and then poisoned it. What's more important is that this poison was not poisonous at all, and it was incompatible with the medicine the emperor took. Lu Qiqi. How could a concubine have such ability? System. It's a pity that Ma Yin died when the prince rushed over. Lu Qiqi carefully considered these important information and asked, Is Mi Jiao's death related to this? System. Who is Mi Jiao? Lu Qiqi. A rough maid in the imperial kitchen. After saying that, Lu Qiqi thought that Mi Jiao must have discovered something. So he was silenced. System. I don't know. Lu Qiqi always felt that there was a connection between them. But she couldn't say what it was specifically. Chapter 497 Crying. It was dark. Lu Qiqi ate alone. And the prince did not come back. Thinking of what the system said, Lu Qiqi thought that the prince should be too busy to eat. She asked Chunbai and others to make her dried sweet potato porridge and donkey meat fire, with small pickles, which was delicious. She was shocked by the fact that the emperor was poisoned, and thought that she would not go to the imperial kitchen to get food unless it was absolutely necessary. Otherwise, she would not know when someone poisoned. The emperor was lucky. Without the system reminder, Lu Qiqi did not know that the emperor was poisoned. Maybe the emperor would lose his life now. Thinking of the situation described by the prince at that time, who was so cruel, poisoning the emperor and destroying the prince. What is the purpose of this person? Poisoning has so many twists and turns, and it takes several procedures to achieve the goal. How many people like this are there in the palace? Crown Princess. Is it not delicious? Chunbai saw the crown princess holding the donkey meat hot bun and didn't take a bite for a long time, thinking that she didn't cook well. Lu Qiqi came back to her senses. It's delicious. Then you still She looked at the donkey meat hot bun in the crown princess's hand. I'm thinking about something. Lu Chichi had just finished speaking when she heard the noise outside. The prince came back. Lu Chichi hurriedly asked the 4 maids to get busy. When the prince walked in, she stood up to greet him. You're back. The prince came to the table and saw the food. Frowned. You're eating this? You don't come back. I have no appetite. Lu Chichi said. The prince didn't say anything about it. Sat down, picked up a donkey meat hot bun and ate it. Eat slowly. I asked them to cook a few more dishes. Lu Chichi was a little anxious when she saw the prince eating. She didn't know how long he hadn't eaten. Being in a high position, he has endless things to do every day. If others knew that the prince worked so hard, would there still be so many people who envy him? I'm busy these days. You don't have to wait for me to eat in the future, the prince said while eating. Seeing him like this, Lu Chichi felt even more distressed and decided to do something for the prince. Chunbai and the others were very fast and brought the dishes over one after another. Lu Chichi and the prince started eating. Just after eating a donkey meat hot pot, Zhao Kai came in from outside. The moment Lu Chichi saw Zhao Kai, she held down the prince, who was about to get up, and said, No matter how busy you are, wait until you have a full meal. Seeing the woman's firm eyes, the prince sat down to eat again, ate a few bites, and said, Speak. Zhao Kai was really shocked by the momentum of the crown princess just now, and only reacted after hearing this. Your Highness, I just received news that Ma Yin is fake. The real Ma Yin died of illness on the way to the palace. The prince stopped eating and looked at Zhao Kai. We are investigating the true identity of this person. The prince's hand holding the chopsticks tightened. Interrogate all the people related to Ma Yin one by one. Yes. Send people to Ma Yin's hometown and bring those who can take charge to Jingzhaoyin. Yes. The prince thought for a while. All the concubines who have not served the emperor in the palace, as long as they are found innocent, will be driven out. Yes. Let the Jinui come to see me. Yes. Zhao Kai saw that the prince had nothing to order for the time being, and left quickly. Lu Chichi glanced at Yu Dai, who was standing at the door. Yu Dai understood and immediately chased Zhao Kai away, walked into the yard, and spoke. Guard Zhao. Zhao Kai was busy with important matters, and was stopped by a maid. He felt very unhappy, but since she was the maid of the crown princess, he gave her some face. What's the matter? Zhao Kai said with a cold face. The crown princess asked me to give you some freshly made donkey meat hot buns. After Yu Dai finished speaking, she turned and went to the kitchen and gave Zhao Kai 6 wrapped donkey meat hot buns. Zhao Kai's heart suddenly warmed when he saw the donkey meat hot buns in his hand. He was envious of the crown prince just now, but now he has one in his hand. Thinking of his attitude towards Yu Dai, he wanted to apologize, but Yu Dai had already turned and left. Zhao Kai looked into the room and left with the donkey meat hot buns. He was really hungry. Eating while walking did not delay things. When he left the East Palace, he had finished 2 donkey meat hot buns. His stomach was full, and he was more energetic to work. Here, the prince and Lu Chichi finished their meal together. The prince talked about the current progress of the matter and reassured Lu Chichi. When the prince left, Lu Chichi was still thinking about what he had just said. It was the same as what the system said, but the prince was a little reserved. At this time, Lu Chichi became more and more suspicious that Mi Jiao's death should be related to the emperor being poisoned. Thinking about it, I wanted to hand this matter over to Yu Dai. Yu Dai didn't understand pharmacology, and her health was not good, so she was not suitable. I simply let Qing Dai handle it. After Qing Dai left, Yu Dai stepped forward. Crown Princess, I can do it too. You are still injured. Next time. Yes. You know the palace better. When Qing Dai comes back, you can discuss some things. Yes. Yu Dai stepped back quietly. Chun Bai stepped forward excitedly. Crown Princess, I know you won't let me Jiao die in vain. Lu Chichi looked at her. It's hard to say what will happen in the end. You should be more careful about what you say and do recently. Yes. Chun Bai responded. Lu Chichi said to Yu Dai and Zhou Yan. You too should be more careful. Yes. Because of the emperor's poisoning, the palace has become much quieter. Lu Chichi is in the East Palace every day and has never gone out. She reads storybooks in the flower room every day. When she is tired, she takes a rest. The prince is busy in and out every day and comes back at noon. Sometimes he comes back in the early morning, but leaves again soon after he comes back. Sometimes, he comes back at night and disappears overnight. Lu Qiqi has only been watching the prince for a few days. He has lost a lot of weight and looks haggard. In addition to fatigue, there is a little excitement in his eyes. Learning from the system, things are progressing smoothly, and Lu Qiqi is relieved. Let Qin Dai investigate Mi Jiao's matter. As she guessed, Mi Jiao seems to have committed suicide because he is depressed. There is no clue. This was within Lu Qiqi's expectation. The person who could take advantage of the principle of the emperor's medicine being mutually exclusive and poison the emperor must be an extraordinary person. Regarding Mi Jiao's death, Lu Qiqi gradually let it go. She knew that when the emperor's poisoning was revealed, Mi Jiao's death would also have a real explanation. That day, Lu Qiqi was reading in the flower room. After reading for a long time, she drank more tea and went to the toilet several times. This time, just as she was about to go to the toilet and walked out of the flower room, she heard Yu Dai's scolding. Lu Qiqi listened for a while and looked at Chunbai. "What's going on?" Chunbai said angrily. Ma Yan's maid cried outside the door and said that Ma Yan was wronged. Lu Qiqi thought about what the prince said that day. Anyone who had anything to do with Ma Yan was taken away. Coming here to complain now has proved this person's innocence? Don't be angry, princess. Yu Dai quickly drove her away. Lu Qiqi raised her eyebrows. Has she been here? A few times. Chunbai answered truthfully. Lu Qiqi didn't want to meddle in other people's affairs. The prince had already arranged everything, and she wouldn't intervene. "Aunt Yu, please inform me. I really have something important to report to the princess." The little maid knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Yu Dai was impatient. "If you think your mistress is wronged, you can go to the Dali temple to seek justice. If you don't want to leave the palace, go find the Nani in charge. Why are you looking for the princess? There are so many people coming every day." Yu Dai thinks that someone deliberately arranged it. But according to the observations of these days, there is no clue. Chapter 498, She Deserves to Die. Lu Qiqi came back from the toilet, and the maid was still at the door. So she stood in the yard and listened for a while. She heard the words outside intermittently along with the sound of kowtow. At first, she didn't feel anything. But suddenly, her heart ached, as if something had pierced through her. "Crown Princess, are you okay?" Lu Qiqi sighed. "Nothing." She walked towards the flower room. Chunbai saw that the Crown Princess looked bad, and it must be because of the person outside. After serving the Crown Princess into the flower room, she turned and walked towards the door. "I really don't know how Yu Dai does things. In the past, even the Crown Princess thought she was good. But today she couldn't even drive away a little maid." As soon as she arrived at the door, she saw that the little maid's forehead was bloody, and there were palace maids and eunuchs looking over from a distance. Chunbai immediately pulled Yu Dai and whispered, "How did you do things? You disturbed the Crown Princess." Yu Dai was also angry and said to the little maid, "Go quickly. I won't leave." "Aunt Yu." Qin Dai heard the noise and rushed over. She didn't say as much nonsense as Yu Dai. She raised her hand and dropped it. The silver needle had already pierced the maid's body. As the maid fainted, Qin Dai supported her in time and sighed. "Look, there are not many servants who are so loyal. They can risk their lives for a dead master. I really admire them." She dragged the person to the side. To people in the distance, it seemed that the little maid was too sad, so she couldn't stand steadily and needed someone to help her walk. In fact, Qin Dai took the person away and prepared to question her carefully. The door was finally quiet, and Chunbai came to serve the Crown Princess again. Lu Qiqi looked at the storybook, without looking up, and asked, "The person left?" "Yes. I guess he left. At least he left on his own two legs." Lu Qiqi shouted to the outside. "Yu Dai." Yu Dai walked in. "I'm here. What happened at the door just now?" It was a little maid of the concubine Ma Yan, who insisted on crying out for her master at the door of the East Palace. The little maid is kind and righteous, but if she wanted to cry out for justice, she should have gone to the Queen's Fuyan Palace. "Why did she come here?" Lu Qiqi asked, seeing that the Crown Princess had discovered something. Yu Dai answered honestly, "This maid is called Xiao Lu. She is a servant girl in front of Ma Yan, and has no chance to get close to Ma Yan." Lu Qiqi nodded. "Continue." "This maid's arrival is really strange. Every time she comes, there are many maids and eunuchs watching. It must be arranged by someone on purpose. Lu Qiqi asked. Do you know why she didn't go to Fian Palace, but went to the East Palace to seek justice? Yu Dai carefully glanced at the crown princess and whispered. Recently, the queen has been taking care of the emperor and told the outside world that all matters in the palace were handled by the crown princess. So it was. The queen is also involved. Do you think the maid was arranged by the queen? Yu Dai and the others didn't dare to speak out when they heard it. Okay. It's none of our business. Just watch them make a fuss and see what tricks they can make in the end. Crown princess? Chun Bai said. In this palace, there are many people who don't know the prince's temper. And there are also many who don't know that I don't care about things. You come to me so openly. And there must be some people who tacitly approve of you. In this case, we should do nothing and see how long someone can make trouble. Is it really arranged by the queen? Chun Bai exclaimed. If you want to know, you can check it out. Anyway, you like gossip the most. And this can just satisfy your curiosity. Lu Qiqi had an illusion that the prince might also be involved in this matter. Chun Bai liked these things in the first place. And after hearing this order, she left quickly. Yu Dai looked at Chun Bai like this, shook her head and smiled. This kind of personality can only be with the crown princess. If it was with someone else, he would have died long ago. Qin Dai quickly learned the news she wanted from the palace maid, and immediately came to the crown princess and told her the news. After hearing this, Lu Qiqi immediately went to the firewood room to see the little palace maid who was kowtowing. Seeing the little palace maid with a red and swollen forehead, she muttered something. One look at the state. I know it's not normal now. What happened? I took the medicine, and she told me the secret. Lu Qiqi glanced at Qin Dai, who is also an expert in this field. Will she stay so confused? She will wake up in half an hour, and will not have any memory during this period. Lu Qiqi listened to the little palace maid again, and asked Qin Dai to send her away. When Qin Dai was about to take action, the unconscious little palace maid suddenly knocked Qin Dai away, and rushed towards Lu Qiqi. Yu Dai and Zhou Yin were around. When they saw that the situation was not right, Yu Dai protected the crown princess, and Zhou Yin stabbed directly with a dagger in her hand. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. When Lu Qiqi looked over again, the little palace maid had a dagger stuck in her heart, and looked at her with hatred. You deserve to die. Qin Dai was the most angry, and rushed over to take action. At this time, black blood flowed from the corner of the little palace maid's mouth. Qin Dai pinched the other person's chin, and saw clearly that the person had poison in his mouth. Lu Qiqi just watched, watching a fresh life disappear in front of her eyes. She didn't feel much in her heart. It seemed that she was used to it. And it seemed that she deserved to die when the little palace maid wanted to kill her. It was hard to explain. Seeing a little life just gone, she didn't feel anything. No. She felt that she deserved to die. Why did she have such a thought? I thought of the little palace maid gritting her teeth and saying you deserve to die. Before she died, did she have a grudge against the little palace maid? Crown princess, are you okay? Yu Dai saw that the crown princess looked bad and thought she was scared. Lu Qiqi shook her head. Where is she? I'll take care of it right away. Qin Dai blamed herself in her heart. It was she who put the crown princess in danger. Lu Qiqi watched Qin Dai deal with it. I thought they were dragging the person out and burying her. But I saw Qin Dai take out a medicine bottle and sprinkle it on the face of the little palace maid. She also took out a set of tools to treat the injury on the little palace maid's forehead. Lu Qiqi saw it clearly. It was the result of surgery and plastic surgery. On the surface, the forehead of the little palace maid did not look obvious. Later, Qin Dai and Zhou Yin worked together to change the clothes of the little palace maid. At this time, Lu Qiqi saw a pattern similar to an eagle on the waist of the little palace maid. The pattern was very small, and Lu Qiqi saw that it was not an eagle, but a magpie kite. She was from Huagu. Yu Dai, Qin Dai, and Zhou Yin all saw this mark, and they were stunned for a while. Miss, what is this? Yu Dai said. Lu Qiqi thought for a while. Go report to the prince. Yes. Yu Dai took the order and left. Qin Dai stayed beside the body, in order not to attract other people's attention. Lu Qiqi took Zhou Yin to the flower room. Soon, the prince came in a hurry. The prince did not go to the firewood room, but went directly into the flower room. Qiqi, are you okay? The prince looked the woman up and down. I'm fine. That person should be from Huagu. This is what Lu Qiqi is most worried about. This time it is confirmed that Ma Yin is related to Huagu. So it will be much easier to investigate. Lu Qiqi thought that this matter was pushed by the queen. Did the queen know that there was something wrong with the little maid? Thinking of this, Lu Qiqi not only thought about the queen's intention to do so. I will send someone to investigate. I hope you are okay. The danger has come to the East Palace. And the prince suppressed a burst of anger in his heart. Chapter 499 Queen's Bird's Nest. Sun Shu arrived, saluted to the crown princess, and reported, Your Highness, there is news over there. Go ahead. The crown prince said coldly. Ma Yin is from Huagu. What else? Sun Shu shuddered, feeling that he was deceived by Zhao Kai, and said with a stiff upper lip, It was also discovered that 3 palace maids were also from Huagu. That's all? The crown prince asked again. Sun Shu lowered his head. Will your subordinates continue to investigate? Where are the people from the Ma family? Every year, the concubines will meet with their families. If Ma Yin is fake, how could the people from the Ma family not know? Thinking of this, the crown prince's suppressed anger seemed to burst out. She will arrive in 3 days. Immediately. Yes. Sun Shu saw that the crown prince was upset. And when he heard this, he hurried away. Seeing that the prince was angry, Lu Qiqi did not speak. When the prince came back to his senses and saw the woman's little appearance, he hurriedly comforted her. Did you get scared? No. I am angry that someone actually reached out to you. The prince gently held the woman in his arms and comforted her in this way. Lu Qiqi obediently let him hold her. The two were silent for a while, and Lu Qiqi spoke. I am not as fragile as you think. I know. Have you ever thought that if you protect me like this, others will think I am weak and want to attack me more? The prince looked at the woman. This didn't seem to be a joke, and he knew that this made sense. But he felt that women were born weak and should be protected by men. Meeting the woman's firm eyes, the prince lowered his posture. I will try to let go. Before that, I need to clear all the people in Huagu before I can rest assured. Okay. I'll listen to you. The woman was obedient, which made the prince have different ideas after the tension. He hugged the woman for a while, and the prince left only when eunuch Lu arrived. Before leaving, the prince gave a lot of instructions, asking Lu Qiqi to stay in the East Palace and let others pass on the message if there was anything. Lu Qiqi agreed. After the prince left, Lu Qiqi was reading a storybook in the flower room. Qin Dai came up and said that the little maid was taken away by someone arranged by the prince. When Lu Qiqi heard it, she just said and didn't react anymore. Chun Bai came back and heard what happened, and she was scared. She followed the princess closely and refused to leave. What she inquired from outside was also so boring. Several people were scared because of the little maid. When everyone was silent, Wang Ma, who was beside the queen, came and said that the queen wanted to see the princess. Yu Dai wanted to refuse, but Lu Qiqi agreed. In Lu Qiqi's opinion, the queen knew about it and deliberately pushed it to this side. When Lu Qiqi brought 4 maids to the queen's Fuyun Hall, for the first time, the 4 maids were allowed to enter together. I pay my respects to the queen. Lu Qiqi bowed. I pay my respects to the queen. Chun Bai and others bowed. Come here. Let me take a look, the queen said. Lu Qiqi came to the queen. The queen took a closer look and asked, How do you feel now? What does the queen mean? Lu Qiqi asked tentatively. Qiqi is not afraid. Lu Qiqi was sure that the queen knew that the little maid had a problem. Since she knew, she pushed it to her and pointed it out now. What did she mean? Madame Wang came with 2 bowls of freshly stewed bird's nest. Empress, the bird's nest is ready. Qiqi, try it. Lu Qiqi obediently took a bowl of bird's nest that was just firm enough and ate it. The temperature was right. And there were 2 more bowls. It was obvious that she had planned to let herself come over. Calculating the time of the bird's nest, Lu Qiqi suddenly understood the queen's intention. How does it taste? Excellent. If you want this bird's nest to taste good, you need to cook it slowly on a low fire. The queen used the bird's nest to speak. Lu Qiqi wondered if the queen had seen that the matter was exposed and deliberately used this trick to get around it. Or did she have other purposes? In this regard, Lu Qiqi was not anxious and listened to the queen quietly. Yu Dai, Zhou Yin, and Qin Dai all felt puzzled when they heard the queen's words. The queen talked for a while and asked, Qiqi, do you know what I am thinking? I am stupid and don't understand the queen's intention. No, you understand. Lu Qiqi insisted. I don't understand. The queen looked at it steadily, and suddenly laughed. You are really smart. Lu Qiqi smiled slightly. The queen sighed. Some things cannot be avoided if you want to. Unless you give up everything you have now. You can't have both? Seeing the queen say this, Lu Qiqi directly pointed it out. No! I'll just give up. The queen was stunned by this. And after a while, she knew where someone's confidence came from. I hope you can have this luck. After saying this, she stood up and walked towards the inner hall. Seeing this, Lu Qiqi put the half-eaten bird's nest on the table and bowed to the queen's back. Madame Wang followed into the inner hall and came out soon, saying that the queen was tired. Lu Qiqi knew what this meant and left openly. Leave Fuyun Palace. Chunbai was silent for a rare time. Lu Qiqi said to Yu Dai, you should carefully check the past of Xiao Lu. The maid? Yes. When they returned to the East Palace, Yu Dai left quickly. Lu Qiqi was on the hammock in the yard. It was cold now, and she was freezing here. But Lu Qiqi used this method to force herself to calm down. Think carefully about what happened recently. How much is related to the queen? And what is the purpose of the queen doing this? Lu Qiqi had an intuition in her heart that Xiao Lu should be the queen's person. She made trouble several times, just to die in front of her, and to say that sentence I hate you. If the queen hated herself and wanted to use the hands of a little maid, the only thing that it means is that the queen should know the truth about the death of the king of Chu and want to do something to the prince. Recently is a good time. She also felt that if the queen had such a thorough plan, she would know that the maids around her were not simple, and Xiao Lu's maid would not succeed. Why did the queen do this? Lu Qiqi didn't believe it. The queen was doing it for her own good. What about the bird's nest? Is the queen trying to use the bird's nest to tell herself that slow work produces fine work? Soon, Yu Dai came back. She talked about Xiao Lu's past. Since Xiao Lu came to the palace, he has not had contact with the queen. And even Ma Yan has no chance to contact the queen. After thinking about it, Lu Qiqi couldn't figure it out. So she simply summoned the system. Why did the queen do this? System. The queen wants to tell you that no matter how well the prince protects you, you must have the ability to protect yourself. Lu Qiqi. Is she really so kind? System. If she wants to live a glorious life in the future, she must bow her head. Lu Qiqi. Can I trust the queen in the future? System. Yes. Lu Qiqi. According to what you said, there are still many people I trust. System. In addition to the queen mother and the queen, you can also trust the concubine Shu. Lu Qiqi. Does the concubine Shu also think the same? System. The concubine Shu's matter is a bit complicated. It is more difficult for her to live than the queen. Lu Qiqi thought that if the emperor died, all women except the queen would be buried with him. Is this possible? System. It's a bit troublesome. But she is trying to prove herself. Lu Qiqi became more and more confused as she listened. Explain it more clearly. System. Tonight, you will know when you go to the Imperial Dragon Palace. Chapter 500 I Dare Not. Xineng Palace. The Queen Mother came back from the Imperial Dragon Palace and sighed all the time. Seeing the Queen Mother like this, Nanny Luo was very worried. Empress Dowager, you haven't eaten for a day. Ask the Imperial Kitchen to make something delicious tonight? No appetite. The Queen Mother sighed. Empress Dowager, your health is important. How can your body bear not eating? The Queen Mother looked at Nanny Luo, making Nanny Luo think that she was talking too much. Have I lived too long and snatched the Emperor's life? Nanny Luo knelt on the ground when she heard this. Empress Dowager, you are the pillar of this palace. With you, everyone is safe. The Queen Mother shook her head. You are wrong. Nanny Luo saw that the Queen Mother was stuck in a dead end and hurried to persuade her. Empress Dowager, do you still remember the prince when he was a child? The Queen Mother recalled the past after hearing this. Nanny Luo said, if the Queen Mother hadn't protected him, how could the prince be safe and sound until now? All this is the Queen Mother's credit. The Queen Mother's face looked much better when she heard this. I remember that the Queen Mother was most worried that the prince would be a little extreme when he grew up because he lacked maternal love. You see now that the prince treats the crown princess as the apple of his eye. He is afraid that he will be bullied. The Queen Mother glanced at Nanny Luo. You are the only one who can talk. The Queen Mother has wronged me. What I said is all true. On the birthday, the crown princess personally made a birthday cake for the Queen Mother, lit candles, and made wishes. I don't know how many people envied her. You old thing. You are getting better at talking as you get older. Nani Luo saw that it was effective. So she talked about the crown princess and the prince. Everyone has seen it. I didn't say that. Yes. Yes. You are right. The Queen Mother finally smiled. Queen Mother. You have seen it too. The prince and the princess have such a good relationship. If they have a child, they will definitely not take care of such a small one. If you leave this matter to outsiders, the Queen Mother will probably be worried. You will need to step in when the time comes. Child? Great-grandson? The prince's child is naturally your great-grandson. Besides, the Queen Mother has already named the child. You won't forget this. Right? I remember that I wanted to name the child Zhou Yuan. But Chi-Chi didn't like it, and insisted on calling him Zhou Xiao. The Queen Mother began to sigh again. That's easy. Let the princess have more children. One Zhou Yuan. One Zhou Xiao. And another one named. You have the final say on what to call them. Auntie! The queen came out with a smile, followed by several palace maids, each holding a plate of food in her hand. The queen is here. The Queen Mother saw the queen, then looked at everyone, and she had an appetite. Nani Luo stepped forward to help the Queen Mother tidy up her clothes, and the queen came over to help. Aunt, look at me. You are already old. Standing with me. More like a sister? The queen laughed and joked. The Queen Mother looked at her. Tell me, what bad things have you done again? I didn't do anything. I just pushed someone in front of Lu Chi-Chi. The Queen Mother narrowed her eyes. When the queen saw that things were not going well, she quickly told the whole story. The Queen Mother was not angry when she heard it, and she thought the queen was right. What were you thinking at the time? The queen felt wronged, and treated me the same way at the time. You did something bad, and you put the blame on me. The queen is really brave. The queen saw that the Queen Mother was not angry, so she helped the Queen Mother out, came to the table, and carefully set a bowl of porridge to the Queen Mother. Aunt, I heard that Chi-Chi likes to eat this the most. The queen set a bowl of dried sweet potato porridge to the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother looked at the black thing in front of her and frowned slightly. Can this thing be eaten? Chi-Chi likes it very much. The Queen Mother heard it, and took a bite with a small spoon. It tastes great. At least it tastes better than it looks. The queen saw the Queen Mother eating, and she started eating too. After eating, she praised, this thing doesn't look good, but it tastes good? That maid knows how to eat it. The Queen Mother said with a smile. The queen laughed, didn't say anything, and continued to eat. When the two were full, Luo Mama took the palace maids to clean up the table and brought various cakes. The Queen Mother saw that she didn't mean to move. This thing is so much worse than cake. The queen felt the same way. After eating birthday cakes, these things are really unbearable. Nani Luo sighed beside her, saying that they can only be eaten on birthdays, thinking that no one seems to have birthdays recently, which means that she can't eat them. The Queen Mother rolled her eyes and had an idea. Nani Luo asked Shufei to come over. Nani Luo thought that Shufei should be with the emperor at this time, and after paying her respects, she quickly walked to the Imperial Dragon Palace. The queen looked at the Queen Mother and understood what she meant. Aunt, isn't it inappropriate for you to do this? The queen said. The Queen Mother glanced at her. Shufei is a capable person. The queen knew that Shufei was a ruthless person, and she didn't want to fight recently. It didn't matter what this person did. Drink tea slowly, and wait for concubine Shu to arrive. This wait lasted for a stick of incense. The queen also drank 2 cups of tea. Aunt, concubine Shu is very courageous. It's been a long time, and I haven't seen anyone yet. She is more thoughtful than you. She should be in front of the emperor at this time. Speaking of this, the Queen Mother complained about the queen. If she could also lower her attitude, there would be no trouble with these people in the harem. To say something that Aunt doesn't like to hear. This concubine Shu is a ruthless person. If I hadn't noticed it early that day, the dirty water would have been thrown on me. The palace has always been like this. The Queen Mother was calm. People who can survive in the palace have some means. As the oldest Queen Mother in the palace, she knows this best. The queen was silent. And soon after, concubine Shu arrived. Concubine Shu is used to being a person, and she bows at the door. Your servant greets the Queen Mother and the queen. Get up. The Queen Mother spoke. Thank you. Queen Mother. Shufei stood up and stood by the side. The Queen Mother said, Is your Majesty feeling better? Thanks to the Queen Mother, the Emperor is feeling better. He will be able to get out of bed and walk in a few days. The Queen Mother was so happy to hear this that she kept saying yes. 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 This is all thanks to you. Shufei. Shufei bowed again. I don't deserve it. Shufei is too modest. Let's do this. On your birthday in a few days, we will hold a big party for you. Shufei couldn't believe her ears and thought she had heard it wrong. When she saw the smile in the Queen Mother's eyes, she knew it was true and immediately knelt on the ground excitedly. I thank the Queen Mother for her grace. You deserve it. The Queen Mother was drooling as she thought she could eat birthday cake again. The Queen watched from the side, thinking that the Queen Mother was worthy of being the Queen Mother, and she could find so many excuses even for eating. She thought that with the Queen Mother's words, she should be able to enjoy a little bit of the good fortune. Thinking about the taste of the cake, she wanted to eat it now. Later, the Queen Mother asked Shufei to stay and ask about the Emperor's situation. When Shufei left, she was still grateful to the Queen Mother. The Queen admired the Queen Mother's operation. The Queen Mother was worthy of being the Queen Mother, and she always did things without any mistakes. She learned a lot from the Queen Mother over the years. Now, she admits that she is not as good as the Queen Mother. When Shufei left, the Queen smiled and said, Aunt, you are still smart. Everyone in the palace knows that when the Emperor needs someone to serve, Shufei has always been by his side. But it is you, the Queen. It's really chilling. The Queen Mother taught me that I know my mistakes. The Queen stood up and saluted. Your attitude is very good. I'm afraid you don't think so in your heart. The Queen Mother made it clear. The Queen's attitude became more sincere again. I dare not. Chapter 501 Reminiscing the Past. The love between aunt and niece plays out in Xineng Palace. And concubine Shu returns to Yuqing Pavilion. Seeing the deserted courtyard, thinking of the scene of the Queen Mother and the Queen just being together, she secretly hates her low birth. Secretly hates that she is paid so much, but gets less than half of what the Queen gets. What she is more afraid of is that the Emperor will die at any time, and she will be buried with him according to the clan system. If she had a child, she would not have fallen into such a miserable state. Thinking of the child, thinking of everything that happened to her. If it weren't for the Queen, she would have been a mother long ago. Your Highness. The maid Wu Xian came with the meal. Concubine Shu heard the noise, turned around. Her expression became indifferent, and seeing the simple vegetarian dishes, she said nothing, came to the table and sat down, picked up the chopsticks and started eating. She served the Emperor every day and then came back to eat. Every day. Today, because she went to the Queen Mother, she came back a little late, and now the food is cold. Now, even if it is leftovers, she cannot dislike it, because if the Emperor suddenly died, she would not even be able to live. The Queen Mother's statement today gave her a glimmer of hope. The maid Wu Xian saw that her master was so tired and could only eat this when she came back, and she felt wrong for her master. In the whole palace, who has not been wronged? Which master has an easy life? Thinking of those concubines who were driven out of the palace. What did they do wrong? In comparison, Shufei is still good. It is also an honor to serve the Emperor every day. Thinking of this, she felt that this matter was not a big deal at the moment. While Wu Xian was thinking about things, Shufei had finished eating. Wu Xian had cleaned up the table and was about to leave with her bowls and chopsticks. When she heard the noise in the yard, she turned her head and looked at concubine Shu. Your Highness, it's that maid again. In the past, concubine Shu would not pay attention to it. Today, she was in a good mood. She walked out of the door and saw the little maid kneeling in the yard. She just knelt there without saying a word. Her purpose was to make it clear before her first visit that she wanted to follow concubine Shu. Concubine Shu did not agree. And the housekeeper, Madame Su, did not take the little maid to heart. What's your name? Concubine Shu spoke. And the little maid immediately looked up. Your Highness, I'm Xiao Ba. Which palace did you work in? Concubine Shu asked. Your Highness, I used to follow concubine Shu. Now concubine Shu has left the palace, and I'm not old enough to leave the palace. If, the little maid said that she would not say more. Concubine Shu smiled, very coldly. If there is no master to take me in, I will go to Xinteku. Little maid Xiaoba nodded. Do you look down on the people in Xinteku? I dare not. Xiaoba cowered in fear. It is true that there are fewer people around me. If you can get the permission of the housekeeper Su Ma, then come over. Xiaoba kowtowed to thank her immediately after hearing this. Shufei turned and left. Not long after, Wu Xian told her that Xiao Ba had left. Asked, Your Majesty, did you really take in that maid? What else? Xu Fei asked back. Your Majesty, today I heard that someone went to the East Palace to ask the Crown Princess to take her in. But something went wrong. What happened? Xu Fei sat up straight immediately. Wu Xian said, I don't know what happened specifically. I only heard that not long after the little maid entered the East Palace, the Crown Prince hurried back to the East Palace, looking very anxious. Concubine Xu suddenly relaxed, thinking about the maid just now. It should be nothing. So she didn't take it to heart. The housekeeper Su Ma would not allow it. What was she worried about? What Concubine Xu didn't expect was that when she got up the next day, washed up, and went to take care of the emperor, Xiao Ba was already cleaning in the yard. Concubine Xu went out and saw it, and her footsteps stopped. Xiao Ba heard the noise and hurried to the front of Concubine Xu to salute. Your servant Xiao Ba. See the Concubine Xu? Concubine Xu didn't expect that this little maid was still capable. She thought that the housekeeper Su Ma was not a good person to talk to. But after one night, the matter was done, which showed that the little maid had some connections. In this case, it's okay to stay. There are not many things in Yuqing Pavilion. If you don't understand anything, you can ask Wu Xian. Yes. Xiao Ba saluted, looked at Wu Xian and saluted. Xiao Ba meets Sister Wu. Wu Xian didn't look good to Xiao Ba, and said to Concubine Xu, My queen, it's late. Hearing this, Concubine Xu left quickly. After the master left, Xiao Ba quietly swept the yard. When Concubine Xu came to the Emperor's Imperial Dragon Palace, it was rare to see the queen there. Concubine Xu came up and saluted the Emperor and the queen. The queen glanced at Concubine Xu. Concubine Xu is thoughtful. I should do it. Concubine Xu said. Do you mean I shouldn't do it? The queen raised her eyebrows. Concubine Xu saw that the Emperor closed his eyes and had no intention of helping her. So she knelt on the ground. I said the wrong thing? Damn it! It's unlucky to say something like death in front of the Emperor. Ahem. The Emperor was unhappy, opened his eyes, and looked at the queen, with a flash of annoyance in his eyes. Eunuch Lu gritted his teeth to help the Emperor calm down. And when he calmed down, he hurriedly brought water. After the Emperor drank it, Imperial Physician Ma came with a medicine bowl. Seeing the queen was there, he felt strange and stepped forward to salute. Meet the queen. The queen took a look at the medicine bowl, smelled the smell, and knew it was different. Did you change the prescription? Yes. Does the prince know? Yes. Hearing this, the queen stretched out her hand, and Imperial Physician Ma could only send the medicine bowl to the queen. When the queen held the medicine bowl and looked at the Emperor, her expression softened. It was arranged by the prince. Your Majesty can take it with confidence. The Emperor gave the queen face, and took the initiative to open his mouth when the queen fed him. As the queen fed him, she thought of the past, when she gave birth to the king of Chu. The Emperor had fed her like this. At that time, she thought she had met a good man, but she didn't expect that she would end up deceiving herself. Your Majesty, do you still remember that when the king of Chu was born, you also fed me medicine like this? The Emperor looked at the queen. His health was not as good as before, and he was always on guard against the queen. Even after the king of Chu died, he did not relax his vigilance against this woman. Now he is talking about the king of Chu again. He has long forgotten about this matter. Suddenly he said that it was found that the death of the king of Chu was related to the prince? If this is true, his health is not as good as before, and he cannot protect the prince. If the queen does something crazy, he may not be able to stop it. Thinking in his heart, he did not show it on his face. The queen still remembers? I remember. I will never forget it. At that time, I thought I was the happiest person. Who would have thought that so many things happened later, which gradually brought us to today? After the queen mother's reminder, the queen also knew that she had ignored the emperor. How deeply she loved this man. How deeply she was hurt. How deeply he hated her. Now that she saw that the emperor's days were numbered, she thought of the good times in the past, and suddenly felt that she should not be so willful anymore. The emperor saw the queen like this, and put away some of his defenses against her. You have worked hard all these years. These words instantly touched the queen's tears, and she couldn't control it. And tears suddenly flowed down. The queen didn't notice it, and only realized that she had lost her composure when she saw the emperor's eyes. She raised her hand and wiped it, and realized that she was crying. So she quickly got up and left in a hurry. The emperor looked at the queen thoughtfully, and also thought of the time when they first met. Concubine Shu had been watching from the side. Seeing that the relationship between the emperor and the queen suddenly improved, she began to get nervous, worried that the good reputation she had built up with great difficulty these days would disappear because of the queen's sudden change. Chapter 502, Change the Clan System. Eastern Palace. The prince came back from outside. He walked quickly into the house. When he entered the door, he thought he would see a familiar smiling face. He looked around but didn't see any woman. He turned around and asked Huang Ma, "Where is the princess?" "Reporting to your highness." The princess went to Sinang Palace. The prince thought, why go to Sinang Palace at this time? The prince was relieved about the queen mother, thinking of the maid and the queen. He walked quickly to Sinang Palace. The prince walked very fast, and those who didn't know thought something big had happened. The maids and eunuchs who met saw the scene, and they knelt on the ground in fear. They waited for the prince to walk over for a long time, and they didn't dare to get up. What the prince didn't expect was that he was worried about what the queen would do. And when he came to Sinang Palace, he heard the woman's laughter. The prince slowed down and adjusted his mentality. The moment he walked into the house, the maids and eunuchs knelt on the ground to salute. "Your servant greets His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." "Your servant greets His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." When Lu Qiqi saw the Crown Prince coming, she stood up and walked over with a smile on her face. "You are back." The Crown Prince smiled and nodded, and saluted the Queen Mother. "Grandson greets the Imperial Grandmother." The Crown Prince has been out for a few days, and he came back to see the Imperial Grandmother. The Imperial Grandmother is so happy. The Queen smiled. The Crown Prince was thick-skinned and pretended not to hear the hidden meaning of this. The concubine came over with a freshly made lotus cake. When she saw the Crown Prince, the maid next to her saluted. "Your servant greets His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." This successfully attracted everyone's attention. The concubine smiled and walked forward with the lotus cake. "The Crown Prince is back." The Crown Prince looked at the Empress Dowager, the Queen, and the concubine who were present. They were busy investigating things these 2 days. "I wonder what happened in the palace. Why do I feel the atmosphere is so good?" The Queen and concubine Shu seem calm on the surface, but in fact, they have fought so many times that they can still sit quietly at the same table to eat. "Quick! Put another set of bowls and chopsticks." The Queen Mother spoke. Nanny Luo moved quickly and added another set of bowls and chopsticks. This set of bowls and chopsticks seemed to be for the prince, and also seemed to be for concubine Shu. The prince deliberately sat next to Lu Qiqi. Just when the bowls and chopsticks were first put, concubine Shu sat on the temporary seat. Everyone sat down, and the Queen Mother spoke. "It's rare to get together for dinner. Today I won't go home until I'm drunk." "And you shouldn't drink," the Queen reminded. "I'm happy today. It's okay to drink less," the Queen Mother said. Seeing that the Queen Mother said this, the Queen couldn't say anything, and glanced at Lu Qiqi. Lu Qiqi understood, and took the initiative to pour wine for the Queen Mother. Others poured wine 8/10 full, but Lu Qiqi only poured a little. The Queen Mother was immediately unhappy when she saw it, and said, "Qiqi, it's too little." "Just now," the Imperial Grandmother said. "Drink less," Lu Qiqi said. The Queen Mother was unhappy and looked at the prince. "Prince, what do you think? Moderate drinking is good for your health." The prince took the wine pot directly from Lu Qiqi's hand and poured wine for the woman and himself. This move, a complete protection, also took all the responsibilities on himself. The concubine Shu saw it and laughed secretly beside her, saying nothing. The Queen Mother saw this. What else did she not understand? No longer asked to drink more. The Queen Mother likes excitement the most, and everything else can be thrown aside. During a meal, the prince arrived, and the lively atmosphere was restrained a little. What's more amazing is that after letting Lu Qiqi drink a glass, the prince simply took her away. The Queen Mother, the Empress, and the concubine Shu were all envious. When the Queen Mother saw that everyone had left, she sighed. "Young people nowadays. It feels like a long time since we last met. It's great to be young." The Queen sighed. These 2 days, she tried to let go of her past prejudices. When she faced the Emperor, she felt much more relaxed. After a while, the relationship between her and the Emperor was not so tense. "You are in a good time now," the Queen Mother said. It seemed that she was talking about the relationship between the Empress and the Emperor, and it seemed that she was talking about the Empress's situation in the future. It was my aunt who reminded me. Since you know, then drink another glass, the Queen Mother said, and sent the wine glass to the Empress. The Queen was speechless. It was not she who said that the Queen Mother should not drink too much, but the imperial doctor. When the concubine Shu saw this, she hurriedly poured wine for the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother was happy, and said to the concubine Shu, "Concubine Shu, how do you want to spend your birthday?" The Queen Mother just wanted to have cakes to eat, and nothing else mattered. Just sit down and have a meal. Like today. She could also sit at the same table with the Queen Mother, which was something she had never thought of before. Shufei is so sensible, the Queen Mother said. Shufei smiled slightly. Since it's a birthday, there must be a cake. I will tell Qiqi tomorrow. The Queen Mother finally said what she really thought in her heart. On the other side, after the prince left, he took Lu Qiqi on the way back to the East Palace. Took the initiative to talk about the investigation in the past few days. Xiaoliu's maid was adopted by the people of Huagu, and became a killer of Huagu. Killer? Lu Qiqi was a little surprised. She knew some things about Huagu, and she was still stuck in the mystery of Huagu. If it was a killer, Lu Qiqi would not be willing to accept it. Everything she experienced with Huagu showed this. She thought things were too simple. Xiaolu has been lurking in the palace for 10 years. If it weren't for this incident, she might not have been exposed. Where is Ma Yin? She is not the real Ma Yin. The real Ma Yin was killed by Huagu. This person used Ma Yin's identity to enter the palace. How many people like Ma Yin are there in the palace? Lu Qiqi asked this question, and it was obvious that the prince's mood was bad. So far, 22 people have been found in the palace. So many? The prince sighed. What are you going to do next? Keep these people. Lu Qiqi looked at the prince, and the eye contact let her know the prince's plan. Taking risks is also the most effective way. When the two returned to the East Palace had already set up the meal. The two sat at the table, and did not continue the heavy topic just now. After drinking a few glasses of wine, the prince asked, "What happened in the 2 days I was away?" Lu Qiqi thought of the changes in the past 2 days, and she felt incredible. It seems that the relationship between all the people in the palace has suddenly improved. The biggest change is that the queen takes care of the emperor and takes medicine every day. The prince already knew the news, and heard from the woman that there was another change. That the queen was plotting something. The Queen Mother said that she would hold a birthday banquet for concubine Shu. The prince laughed after hearing this. What do you think of? The prince said. Concubine Shu's thoughts are obvious. She saw that the emperor was in poor health. In order to survive, she wanted to rely on the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother is the queen's aunt, and concubine Shu should be nicer to the queen. Your consciousness is to say, in order to survive, you can do anything. The prince saw that the harmony was superficial, and its purpose was too obvious. After the prince's reminder, Lu Qiqi also understood that concubine Shu's real purpose was to survive. According to the clan system, concubine Shu should be cultivated after the emperor's death. If she wants to survive, she should not be idle. Can concubine Shu change the clan system with her own strength? Lu Qiqi remained skeptical, and at the same time knew that everything depends on the person. Chapter 503 The Crown Princess is missing. Lu Qiqi understood a lot after the Crown Prince's reminder, and also knew what to do next. I will pay attention in the future. The Crown Prince stopped the woman's hand and said, I will find a reason to get her out of the palace now. Lu Qiqi saw that the Crown Prince was going to let concubine Shu live. How can a living person leave the palace? She can also die, the Crown Prince said calmly, and Lu Qiqi was shocked. Seeing that the Crown Prince was angry, Lu Qiqi told him what she had seen in the past 2 days. I think the Queen Mother should know concubine Shu's mind. Could it be that the Queen Mother's kindness to concubine Shu is tacit approval? Lu Qiqi didn't care about concubine Shu's life or death. She cared about the relationship between the Queen Mother and the Crown Prince. If the Queen Mother tacitly approved and the Crown Prince did it, what would happen to the Queen Mother? Would it affect the relationship between the two? It's possible. After the Crown Prince finished speaking, he finished the wine in the glass. If concubine Shu lived, it would be impossible according to the clan system. What will happen in the future depends on concubine Shu's intention. The prince didn't really take a concubine seriously. But suddenly, he thought of a possibility. There are still people in Huagu in the palace. If concubine Shu shows up, maybe. Lu Qiqi saw the change in the prince's expression. and he must have a solution. She was curious and wanted to ask, but didn't want to ask. So she simply changed the system. What does the prince want to do? System. Use concubine shoe. Lu Qiqi. Did the prince agree? System. Whether it can be done depends on the future. Now it's just use. Lu Qiqi understood what was going on, met the prince's eyes, and continued to eat. The prince couldn't stay calm. Aren't you curious? Curious about what? Curious about what to do next. Lu Qiqi smiled. If concubine Shu is really capable of staying alive, it is also a kind of ability. If she is dead, she is incapable. As the two were talking, Zhao Kai ran in excitedly. Your Highness, an important person in Huagu was captured, and he revealed many people. The prince heard it and left quickly. Lu Qiqi stayed where she was, with a bad feeling. She quickly summoned the system. I have a bad feeling? System. Ma Xingyuan's identity has been discovered. Lu Qiqi was stunned, and quickly realized what this incident would bring. She walked out quickly, and was blocked by Sun Shuo, who suddenly appeared. Princess, please stay. Why? Lu Qiqi looked at Sun Shuo. This man was the prince's right-hand man. Why did he appear here? Subordinates protect the safety of the princess. Where is Sun Chao? Sun Shuo pursed his lips and said nothing. Lu Qiqi felt that this matter was not simple. Thinking of the danger that happened outside the palace. Did Sun Chao have an accident? No. This should not be the key. You die. What do you think? Guard Sun is injured. How is his health? Lu Qiqi rejected Sun Cho's presence. If possible, she thought Sun Chao would be more comfortable here. He needs to rest for a few days. Lu Qiqi thought for a while and told Yu Dai. Send someone to take good care of Sun Chao. Yes. Yu Dai responded, but did not mean to leave. Lu Qiqi saw the reason and said nothing. She turned around and walked into the house again. Sun Chao and Yu Dai were relieved to see the crown princess's move. What they did not expect was that Lu Qiqi saw that she could not go out through the door and left through the window. The image she created was too good. No one would think of Lu Qiqi's move. When Lu Qiqi left the East Palace, she looked back. She knew that if the prince really wanted to kill Ma Xingyuan, she would not just watch. Lu Qiqi had no martial arts skills, but she had the help of the system, so she could easily avoid the guards and rush to the palace. With the protection of the system, everything went smoothly. When Lu Qiqi arrived at the Zhuangyuan mansion, she saw that the door had been surrounded by many Jinyui, and she felt bad. She mixed in the crowd and looked at the scene at the door. It didn't look good. If Ma Xingyuan was taken away, how could she rescue him? She quickly summoned the system. Is there a way to see Ma Xingyuan immediately? System. Ma Xingyuan is not in the mansion now. Lu Qiqi. Where is he? System. What can you do if you know? Lu Qiqi was stunned. Yes. What can you do if you know? Seeing the situation, the prince already knew Ma Xingyuan's identity and started to arrest people. If she knew, could she stop it? This was impossible. Just when Lu Qiqi was feeling complicated, she saw Ma Xingyuan being escorted out by Zhao Kai and his men. You said Ma Xingyuan was not in the belly? System. Ma Xingyuan just returned to the Zhuangyuan mansion from the secret passage. Lu Qiqi was anxious. What should I do now? System. You can't do anything. Lu Qiqi. Do I have to watch him die with my own eyes? They had fought side by side in the mall, and now they traveled together. She hoped that they could still be each other's backers as before. She stared at Ma Xingyuan. She wanted to go forward, no matter what. Take Ma Xingyuan away first. Just when she was about to move, she saw Ma Xingyuan's eyes looking at her. The eyes meant not to let her go. But Lu Qiqi couldn't control herself, and was about to go forward when she was pulled back. Lu Qiqi wanted to shake her off, but she spoke first. Senior. Follow me. Senior? Except for Ma Xingyuan. No one called her senior. Lu Qiqi hated this title. Just as she was about to shake her off, she turned around and saw that the person who spoke was actually Princess Wu. Why are you here? Waiting for you. Princess Wu said calmly. He did what happened today on purpose. After hearing this, Lu Qiqi didn't trust Princess Wu much, and because of the word senior, she followed her and left at the princess's signal. Eastern Palace. Chunbai brought cakes to the crown princess, and looked around after entering the door, but didn't see anyone. Yu Dai heard the noise and rushed in. She also looked around, but didn't find the crown princess. Yu Dai was anxious. Thinking of what happened not long ago, she concluded that the crown princess had left secretly. She was anxious and immediately reported the matter to the crown prince. After looking around, she didn't find the crown prince, but met the queen who happened to pass by. The queen had just come out of the Imperial Dragon Palace. After spending the past few days together, she gradually let go of her prejudice against the emperor. She was just happy about what the emperor said when she saw Yu Dai hurriedly passing by. Naughty One noticed the queen's gaze and said, "That's Yu Dai, the senior maid next to the crown princess." The queen thought of a scene she saw not long ago and said, "Call her over." "Yes." Naughty One left and quickly brought Yu Dai over. Yu Dai was anxious. Facing the queen, she followed the etiquette of the palace perfectly. Your servant greets the queen. Why are you so flustered? Yu Dai was anxious about the safety of the crown princess. She felt bad when she heard what the queen said. She was about to make up a lie to cover it up. But the queen spoke first. Is it related to the crown princess? I was in a hurry to go to the imperial kitchen to find cakes for the crown princess. But the cakes disappeared. Yu Dai finished speaking, secretly saying that it was bad. She let it slip. And it was too late to make amends. The queen had been in the harem for so many years, and she saw the key to the matter at a glance. The crown princess is missing? This was not a question, but an affirmation. Yu Dai wanted to explain, but in the end, under the pressure of the queen's spirit, she could only kneel on the ground. Don't make it public. You take people to look for her secretly first. Yu Dai didn't know what the queen was thinking, and she didn't dare to answer after hearing this. Go quickly. The queen was angry. Yu Dai looked up at the queen and left quickly. The queen said to Nani Wang, take people to secretly look for her, and make sure to find her before dark. Nani Wang left in response. The queen thought about the crown princess's temperament. She would take her maid with her every time she went out. Why didn't she go alone today? Like last time? Thinking of this, the queen trembled in her heart. The people of Huagu have been active recently. Could it be related to Huagu? Thinking of this, she quickly called out the secret guards and gave them orders. Chapter 504 I left through the window. East Palace. Lu Qiqi returned to the East Palace in a state of despair. At this time, the entire East Palace was in chaos because of Lu Qiqi's sudden disappearance. The prince almost went crazy because of the loss of a woman. Seeing Lu Qiqi coming back, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that she was in a bad state, everyone was even more worried. What happened to the crown princess during her absence? The prince was even more excited and went forward to hug her tightly, feeling the real feeling of the woman in his arms. At this moment, he felt that he was alive again. Knowing that Lu Qiqi disappeared in the palace, he began to question his ability. He also began to suspect that someone used the secret passage to steal Lu Qiqi again. And this time it might be Huagu. The young master of Huagu had just been captured. At this time, Lu Qiqi was taken away by the people of Huagu. The situation would not be too good. Seeing people coming back, he was really relieved. Lu Qiqi was held in her arms, and felt her body temperature gradually warm up. Seeing everything in front of her, Lu Qiqi pursed her lips. I have something to tell you. The prince came back to his senses and let go of the woman. Let's go in and talk, Lu Qiqi said, and walked into the house. The prince saw that the woman was in a bad mood, and followed her into the house. Chunbai and others had planned to go out to find someone, but when they saw the crown princess coming back, they breathed a sigh of relief. But they were also worried about her. When they saw the crown prince coming in, they all wanted to rush in, but because of their status, they could only stand outside anxiously. Inside the house, Lu Qiqi stood in front of the table and looked back at the crown prince. I have something to tell you. The crown prince's heart skipped a beat, and he had a bad feeling in his heart. Qiqi, listen to me. The matter is, I have seen the master of Huagu. Lu Qiqi interrupted the prince's next words. After the prince realized what was going on, he hurried forward and checked carefully to make sure the woman was not injured. Did he embarrass you? What if he did? There will be no one alive in Huagu. The prince said that he would keep his word. Dare to touch his woman. There is no way to survive. Lu Qiqi knew the prince's thoughts on Huagu, and heard it with her own ears, so she was not surprised. She recalled that she was taken by the princess of Wu to see an old man. At the first sight of the other party, she guessed the identity of this person. Later, that person was really the master of Huagu, and the father of Ma Xingyuan. Just because this person looked a bit like Ma Xingyuan, and because the system said that the master of Huagu taught Ma Xingyuan a lesson and protected him. Plus the look in Ma Xingyuan's eyes when he was taken away, and the participation of the princess of Wu. She knew that things must have turned around. After hearing what the master of Huagu said, Lu Qiqi was still surprised. What did he do to you? The prince grabbed Lu Qiqi's hand, unconsciously feeling upset that he had not protected the woman. He had just led people to capture Ma Xingyuan, and they took his woman away. What does this mean? He didn't dare to think too much. He said that if you can save Ma Xingyuan's life, the entire Flower Valley will serve you. What Lu Qiqi didn't say clearly was that if she came forward, the entire Flower Valley would become her backing, not the prince. The prince couldn't believe it when he heard this. Who told you that? That person is somewhat similar to Ma Xingyuan. And the princess of Wu was next to him when he said this. Princess Hongyu? Yeah. Lu Qiqi said all the words, not knowing what the prince was thinking, and took a breath while drinking tea. Lu Qiqi felt a little complicated. She hoped that the prince would accept Huagu's kindness. She also thought about the things Huagu had done to help concubine Wu. She thought that the prince had been competing with Huagu's people recently. It seemed that Huagu's people bowed their heads, and she was not surprised. It was just that Huagu's people bowed their heads too smoothly. For this reason, Lu Qiqi was worried that there was a trick. She felt upset and heard the prince laugh. She looked over in surprise. Ha ha ha. After laughing, the prince said, I see. What's wrong? Lu Qiqi asked. It was so smooth to catch Ma Xingyuan that I felt strange. So, Ma Xingyuan must have been prepared. Lu Qiqi. The prince hugged the woman. Don't worry. This matter will be over soon. Can you believe that? I believe it. The prince let go of the woman. I'll go see Ma Xingyuan and come back soon. Lu Qiqi was still a little unresponsive. She always felt that the prince's words obviously had other meanings. Seeing the prince leave, she felt a little strange. Just as she was about to summon the system, Chunbai ran in crying and knelt down in front of her. Crown Princess, I'm so glad you're back safely. Yu Dai and others knelt on the ground one by one. Seeing this, Lu Qiqi remembered how she left and thought someone had misunderstood her. I'm fine. I just felt bad and went out for a walk. Lu Qiqi's explanation sounded coerced to Yu Dai and others. Chunbai said boldly, with so many guards in the entire palace, how could the crown princess leave on her own? Lu Qiqi's departure could not be justified without a reasonable explanation. She was afraid of scaring these loyal maids by saying it directly. So she found a reasonable reason on the spot. I've lived in the palace for a long time, and I've seen a lot of things, so I know everything naturally. After Lu Qiqi finished speaking, she saw that they obviously didn't believe her, and said, I left through the window. There are indeed footprints of the crown princess by the window. But how did you leave such a big palace? Yu Dai asked. She found that the crown princess was not there, and soon found the traces by the window. There were so many guards in such a big palace, and there were many people arranged by the crown prince in the East Palace. How could the crown princess leave under the eyes of everyone? Yu Dai always felt that the crown princess was forced to leave, and she found such an excuse to avoid people's worry. Lu Qiqi found that it was not a good thing for a maid to be too smart. Chunbai cried again. Crown Princess, please don't hide it. Did I really leave by myself? Lu Qiqi said it, but felt that it was useless. She knew it by looking at the eyes of the few people when she was about to explain the system, or take them for a walk without being exposed. The voice of Huang Ma came from outside. Your servants pay their respects to the queen. When everyone heard the noise, Yu Dai quickly told them about the encounter with the queen when she was looking for the crown princess. Lu Qiqi felt bad. The four maids had no way to explain. And there was another more difficult person. The queen did not give her a chance to buffer and walked in. The four maids bowed and saluted. Your servants pay their respects to the queen. The queen quickly came to Lu Qiqi, took her hand, and asked with concern, Are you okay? Lu Qiqi shook her head. Thank you for your concern, Queen. I'm glad they're okay. If you don't want to take them with you when you go out in the future, you can go with me, Empress. Lu Qiqi was a little confused by the queen's change. The queen sighed. You know, your maid can't be found. Everyone knows it. And the prince almost overturned the entire palace. I know my fault, Lu Qiqi said. There is nothing wrong with being the master. The fault is that the maids are not dedicated. How about this? I will arrange an older nanny to come and teach them the rules. Chunbai and others heard this and hurriedly looked at the crown princess. Lu Qiqi also had this idea. She was doing well in the East Palace. She sent a spy here. But it was an old nanny. When she thought of that kind of life, she wanted to escape. Empress, I was reckless this time. I promise there will be no next time. That's good. Old madam. Please ask Madame Wang to bring it to you tomorrow. After saying this, the Empress patted the back of Lu Qiqi's hand. The Empress Dowager also knows about your situation. You need to go to the Empress Dowager's Sinang Palace later. Lu Qiqi was speechless. Her trip out of the palace involved so many things. If she had known this, she would not have gone out. However, the Empress left as soon as she finished speaking, not giving her a chance to refuse. Lu Qiqi was still sighing. The Empress was too overbearing. Madame Luo came again and asked Lu Qiqi to go to Sinang Palace. She knew it was not a good thing, and was forcing her to do something. Madame Luo did not even give Lu Qiqi time to change her clothes, and was invited to leave directly. Chapter 505 Finale. 4 years later, the Emperor passed away. A few days later, the prince ascended the throne. The prince originally intended to ascend the throne and Lu Qiqi to be the queen. In the past 4 years, Lu Qiqi has been with the queen and the queen mother. She is really afraid of the position of queen. At the critical moment, Lu Qiqi escaped. The prince became the new emperor alone. The queen mother and the queen were promoted 1 level each, becoming the old queen mother and the queen mother. After years of unremitting efforts, the concubine did not bury the late emperor alive, and became the concubine. With the help of the system, Lu Qiqi successfully avoided everyone, and she emerged from her hiding place after the ceremony. The prince has now become the emperor, and the damn fate of life and death between her and him has ended. Lu Qiqi, who has regained her freedom, first thought of escaping from here. It was because in more than 4 years, she finally knew that the queen was not suitable for these years. And she also knew what she had to do as a queen. When she knew that the prince ascended the throne and was also crowned as the queen, she denied the position of queen that everyone else dreamed of, what others saw as supreme honor. For Lu Qiqi, brought endless troubles and helplessness. Now the prince's East Palace. No. With the prince's ascension to the throne, it should be said that the new emperor's harem no longer has 3 palaces, 6 courtyards and 72 concubines. But there are more than 10 women in the harem. They were all sent by others in various ways. And the prince has not touched any of them so far. But they are all the new emperor's women. These women are trying their best to get the favor of the new emperor. Once they are favored, the harem will fall into endless struggles. She doesn't want to become the new queen. And eventually she and the new emperor will gradually drift apart because of those endless troubles. And even gradually regard each other as enemies in the end. When she thought that there would be nothing else in the future except calculation, Lu Qiqi saw through the gloomy days in the future. And she didn't want to waste her future on such things. After the damn curse was lifted, she found a place to hide secretly, and escaped in the chaos after dark. After confirming that the maids had gone out to look for her, Lu Qiqi generously came out of her hiding place, and took some valuable jewelry to prepare as her travel expenses. She had already thought about where to leave the palace. She would play outside first, and then go to Huangshan County to see her parents. Even if the new emperor sent someone to look for her, it would be perfectly staggered. When she returned to Huangshan County, she could live a perfect little life with her parents. Lu Qiqi had a good plan. With the help of the system, she avoided the guards of the palace. When she successfully left the palace, she looked back at the palace. After living here for more than 4 years, she finally knew that the luxurious palace was a place where people eat each other. Now she is liberated. She waved to the palace generously. I feel a little sorry for the new emperor, but there is nothing I can do about it. Suppressing the reluctance in my heart, I ran towards freedom. Just as I turned around and was about to leave, I saw the new emperor wearing a dragon robe. The new emperor looked at the bundle in someone's arms and gritted his teeth. Where are you going? I have been looking for a woman for a day, and she actually treated me like this. I plan to travel. Lu Qiqi felt guilty, and did not dare to look at the new emperor. Where are you going to travel? Why don't you wait for me? The new emperor raised his hand, and the eunuch trotted over with a tray. The new emperor grabbed the phoenix robe in his hand, and forcefully stuffed it in front of Lu Qiqi. You said that you don't like the red phoenix robe. You think it's too oppressive. You like the blue phoenix robe. And you like to embroider the golden phoenix on the phoenix robe. Lu Qiqi. You said you. Enough. Lu Qiqi interrupted directly. Yes. I just want to leave. Why? Lu Qiqi gritted her teeth. You don't need me by your side. I'm leaving. There are better ones. Is this your true words? More real than gold. Must you leave? The new emperor's eyes gradually turned cold. I don't like to follow the old path of the Queen Mother. I don't like so many women around you. I don't like to compete for favor with so many people. And I don't like to be on guard against other people's calculations at any time. I don't like. Lu Qiqi said all her worries and fears in her heart. But just after she finished speaking, a group of people walked out of the palace, looking over one by one. They were all familiar faces. These were all women in the East Palace. Lu Qiqi looked at the new emperor. What did he mean? Was he going to let these women force him to bow his head? Just thinking about it. Those women knelt on the ground and saluted. Your servant bows to the emperor. Long live the emperor. Your servant bows to the queen. May the queen live 1,000 years. A loud voice followed. Your servant bows to the emperor. Long live the emperor. Your servant bows to the queen. May the queen live 1,000 years. Lu Qiqi can understand these women kneeling. But what's wrong with these ministers? Look at the new emperor in front of him. Was he the one who arranged it? The system voice popped up. Congratulations to the customer for becoming the queen. Lu Qiqi frowned. Customer? This is not the first time I've heard it. I always feel it's a bit strange. System. Yes. You are the customer. Lu Qiqi. Is it hiring or customer? System. The customer is the customer. Lu Qiqi. You mean? You have a lot of customers? Lu Qiqi thought of calling the system several times. He was not here because there were too many customers, and he was too busy. System. Hee hee. Lu Qiqi. Do I know any of your customers? System. The Imperial College priest. Lu Qiqi turned her head and looked at Ma Xingyuan, who was wearing the clothes of the Imperial College priest. He was actually the system's customer. Thinking of how Huagu was suddenly conquered easily 4 years ago, and how he has done a lot for the state of Chen over the years. Could it be that the system has contributed to this? System. Hey. You finally know how difficult it is for me. In order to relieve your worries, I have analyzed major issues in front of your junior. Lu Qiqi. Who else? System. No. Just the two of you. Lu Qiqi. You should have potential customers. Right? System. I was optimistic about Haoziu, but he was disobedient. So I was planning to give up. Lu Qiqi. You are quite capable. One is the Imperial College about the future of Chen State, and the other is the Dali Temple about the laws of the court. Your hands are long enough. System. There is no way. You have no foundation in the palace. If I don't win over potential stocks for you, how can you rest assured in the palace? Lu Qiqi didn't hear the system's credit, but pointed out the key to the matter. I was pulled here by you. So of course you have to be responsible for me. After following the queen and the queen mother for more than 4 years, she would not know that the women in the harem are related to the various forces in the court. The new emperor has been dealing with various forces for himself over the years. The queen and the queen mother help the harem, and the concubines appear from time to time to deal with some disobedient women. Lu Qiqi knows all of this. Seeing this situation today, she hesitated. Lu Qiqi looked at them for a long time without saying anything, and everyone knelt on the ground and shouted again and again. Long live the emperor. Long live the queen. The new emperor took the opportunity to pull Lu Qiqi's hand. If you don't like those women, I will expel them from the palace today. Lu Qiqi looked at the new emperor. At this moment, she felt that what the new emperor said was true, and he could do what he said. The new emperor said again, Don't worry. You can still be the same as before after becoming the queen, and nothing will change. Lu Qiqi. She felt that if she didn't agree, she would be ungrateful. While hesitating, she saw a person kneeling on the ground who looked familiar. At the moment when the other party looked up, Lu Qiqi saw a familiar face. It was his father, Lu Chenggang. His father was working in Huangshan County. How could he come to the capital? Gang was moved in his heart, because he saw his father, and his eyes changed when he looked at the new emperor again. The new emperor whispered, In the palace, you can use gold, silver and jewelry as you like. You can sleep until you wake up naturally every day. You can eat whatever you want. And the maids and eunuchs are all at your disposal. There will be no such good things outside the palace. And no one will serve you. Are you sure you really want to leave? This is a threat, Lu Qiqi said. as long as you don't become the queen. I agree. It's up to you. You are the only one in my harem. If I really let you down one day, you can use this to divorce me, the new emperor said, and took out a golden imperial edict from his sleeve. Lu Qiqi looked at the new emperor suspiciously, and the moment she opened the imperial edict, she saw that it was a divorce letter written by the new emperor himself. This divorce letter is not for divorce, but for divorce. An hour later, Lu Qiqi, wearing a blue phoenix robe embroidered with golden phoenixes, hosted today's banquet with the new emperor. His father Lu Chungang sat at the end of the banquet in his official uniform, and his mother Fang Wanhua sat with the Empress Dowager and the Queen. Lu Qiqi looked at her father and mother for a long time, and her eyes were red. The new emperor took advantage of the alcohol to ask Lu Qiqi for credit. Qiqi, how can today's grand event be without the presence of the prefect and the father-in-law? Did you do it on purpose? I was afraid that there would be an accident during the enthronement today. So, the new emperor was busy trying to please her, hoping that the woman would not do anything weird today, and felt that he was the most tired emperor on the throne today. And for the woman in front of him, he could do anything shameful.